Dragon Ball Apprentice Angel Chapter 81-100. Chapter 81 Bei Gun Gun, Are You Resisting? King Luo. The king of Yama has entered, this is a good weapon. The staff of the underworld was stunned. Shut up, this person can't be offended, King Yama hurriedly shouted. Can't offend him, who is it? All the staff in the underworld were dumbfounded. At the same time, these people also began to sympathize with Vegeta. It seems that when this guy was alive, he gave it to him like this, cleaned up. Now that everyone is dead, he still refuses to let go. Roger stepped on Vegeta and rolled for a while, and his anger was almost gone. The reason why he was annoyed was because Roger had given Vegeta so many chances, and he could regenerate it, but he couldn't even beat a Foragrass. The scepter in Roger's hand burst into flames and hit Vegeta at once. Immediately, Vegeta's ghostly body changed rapidly. It was just a flash, and Vegeta's body looked good. However, Roger did not resurrect Vegeta, but only created a body for him. Of course, he also gave Vegeta a new armor. My energy restored. Vegeta was shocked. The body also came out. How did you do it? King Yama, I took this man with me. Roger greeted King Yama from a distance. You are free, please walk slowly. King Yama quickly got up and saluted respectfully. Let's go. Roger controlled Vegeta and flew up, streaking a colorful flame in the air, making Vegeta stunned in a flash. All the ghosts were stunned. Which fairy is this? Even Lord Yama was respectful to him. Vegeta looked at Roger with a look of astonishment. Who are you? You. Vegeta asked Bei Gun Gun in astonishment, are you resistant to beating? Roger was too lazy to answer Vegeta's question, but asked with a smile that Vegeta became vigilant at the time, you still want to get out of me? You go roll that Yo-Yo Ming, his head is round. Hey Roger, where are you taking me? Vegeta was silent for a moment and asked. Back to Namek. Roger replied indifferently, someone is going to beat you later, please bear with it. Of course, it is also a kind of experience for you. You have been beaten a lot, maybe it is also a kind of surprise for yourself. Vegeta was stunned for a moment, then asked cautiously, Frieza. Ha ha, Roger shook his head. Soon, Roger returned to Namek with Vegeta. Vegeta saw the three people suspended high above Namek at a glance. The three people were all wearing uniform clothes, but the colors of the clothes were different. The woman's clothes were pink, and the tall one was dark red. The short one is dark gray. At the same time, a light circle was suspended on the heads of these three people. Vegeta, the sky blue light circle, looked up at the light circle on his head. The golden light of Vegeta was on the top of the head, and the light circle of the three people was round. It is around the head, as if to protect the head. Who are they? Vegeta couldn't help asking. Go Belly. Ruosi has a bitter face, glaring at Vegeta, his face is ashen, you bastard. It's all you, let us cultivate like this when we lose. It's strange that Ruosi is not angry. You can try calling me Bei Gun again. Vegeta was furious. It's okay to be called Bei Gun Gun by Roger. The woman calls it Bei Gun Gun, and Vegeta really feels that this day will never end. Then, in the next 3 minutes, Vegeta finally understood what Roger's previous words meant. Vegeta was beaten hard by Ruosi. Roger, don't stop her or she will go crazy and affect her mood of experience. Weiss advised. Ha choke, yes, Myers echoed. Actually think about it, since Ruosi came to the 7th universe, it seems that she has not been very happy to be able to slap Vegeta, and it can be regarded as venting. You have also said that Bei Yugen is half of my students, the students who were beaten like this by her, tell me, what should I do? Roger asked with a dark face. Myers. Ruosi, who was hanging and beating Vegeta, suddenly stopped, and her ears pricked up with some vigilance. Ruosi flew back quickly, just like a normal person, come on. Roger waved to Vegeta. Vegeta swayed and flew over, bruised all over. This level of disability, it's cruel. Roger sighed, okay, I'm not blackmailing you, the core of the 6th universe will send me, this matter is over. Ross. Are you calling me blackmail? Really black? If you beat your students, you will be the core of the sixth universe. Do you think your students are gods? Besides, he is not your student, okay? Only half. Don't forget to hide the core of our universe. Myers whispered to Weiss with a wish in Weiss' eyes, and the corner of his mouth couldn't help twitching. The flames emerged from the power in the hands of Weiss, and Vegeta was treated immediately. In a flash, Vegeta's injuries were completely healed. Vegeta is the god of destruction in the future. Are you embarrassed that you call the god of destruction like this? Well, let's not talk about being tired, let's hand over the core of the sixth universe. Roger stretched out his hand. You want to be beautiful. Ruosi said angrily, no. You can't think about it. That's all, give me the strawberries that will never be eaten. Roger said. This can. Ruosi stared angrily. So, let's stop this matter first, let's see how Sun Wukong is. Roger greeted Dao Ruosi and thought about it seriously. How does it feel that from the beginning to the end, I have been tricked by Roger, and Roger doesn't want to eat strawberries forever, right? This. Kakarot and Frieza, Vegeta is also looking down at this time. The Sun Wukong case was out of breath, and the energy was overdrawn to the limit. Goku. Krillin and Son Gohan went back and forth. They just saw Sun Wukong's vitality bomb, and they also saw that Frieza was hit by such a big vitality bomb. There is a bottomless pit on the ground, and the surrounding lake water is rushing towards the pit. A giant spray of flowing waterfalls. Krillin and Sun Wuhan hurriedly helped Sun Wukong up, and the three of them all looked at each other and smiled. Frieza, are you dead? Asked Krillin. With such a big energy bullet, if I was still alive, I would have nothing to do. Sun Wukong laughed. Sun Wufan nodded. Flitzer, it should be about to die. It's a pity that Bei Gungan was also devoured by the vitality bullet because he held the FLI grass. Sun Wukong looked sad. By the way, Kaylin, isn't he immortal? The dragon of Namek cannot be immortal, but it can regenerate the body. Krillin scratched his head thoughtfully. I'm afraid that the power of the vitality bomb, Vegeta can't regenerate it, right? Degree. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 82 Transformation, Super Saiyan Sun Wukong. Vegeta hovered high in the sky, looking at the projection emanating from the crystal ball of Roger's scepter, his nose crooked with anger. These three bastards are actually talking about me there. Also, are the three of you idiots? Didn't you sense Frieza's breath? Hey, idiot, Frieza is still alive. Vegeta shouted goodbye loudly, they couldn't hear it. Ruosi gave Vegeta a white look. Who are you two? Vegeta looked at Rose, and at Wes and Myers. Didn't Roger tell you? Vegeta shook her head. Well, I won't tell you either. Joss snorted Vegeta. Let's go, leave this planet in my spaceship, and be back here in 7 days. Sun Wukong smiled weakly. 447, by the way, Bulma and Roger are still on this planet, let's call them both over. Kling suggested. Krillin, why did you tell Frieza that Roger was also on this planet when you ran away? Sun Wukong couldn't help asking. Let's talk about this on the way, let's go first. Krillin laughed. Laughing and laughing, Klein's expression suddenly solidified, and the danger became pale. Klein, what's wrong with you? Sun Wukong asked quickly. Sun Wukong followed Kaylin's eyes and swept away. At a glance, Sun Wukong's face was stern, and the sun hole shrank together. Frieza. Sun Wukong was stunned. Did you see it? Frieza is still alive. Roger, is it still going on? It's a draw this time. Ruosi smiled and said it was a draw. Roger smiled. Sun Wukong's energy has been exhausted, will there still be miracles? Weiss doesn't know that Roger is insisting on what she's can do. Frieza still has a lot of room. Although the energy will not reach the peak of cultivation, it still has more than 100 million combat power. What is left of Goku? Sun Wukong's current combat power has dropped to about 100,000. Weiss really doesn't understand why Roger insists on it. Could it really be a miracle? Impossible, Sun Wukong can't win. Humph, Kakarot is going to be beaten to death. Vegeta also saw it, and her mood is a bit complicated. Vegeta hopes that Kakarot will destroy Frieza, and Frieza will destroy Kakarot Gohan. Krillin, leave here immediately, and bring Luogia and Bulma leave this planet. Sun Wukong said in a deep voice. How Keelan shivered. Sun Wufan was so frightened that his whole body was trembling and his face was pale. HMPH, do you really think that I, Frieza, will surely die? Really childish, Frieza sneered. Although Fully Grass was still alive, one eye was injured, and a portion of the vitality bullet just now was broken off from its tail. It was also Frieza who felt the red flame flashing in the hands of Wei Wei Fuli, who was dying. The blood-red flames penetrated into Klein's body at that time. Flitty controlled Klein's body and was suspended high in the air. Krillin was almost scared to pee, and he was sweating profusely. Frieza, stop, Sun Wukong shouted loudly. Frieza wouldn't stop, he snorted coldly, and slowly clenched his fist. Goku. Krillin shouts the name of Sun Wukong in the sky. Krillin turned into a cloud of blood and exploded in the air. Sun Wukong's danger turned pale, his pupils shrunk together, and Keelan, who was just curling up and exploding, was humming, and the next one was your son. Frieza smiled, I'm going to crush you all to death. Otherwise, it will be difficult to dispel the anger in my heart. The only thing that makes me feel a pity is that Vegeta died just like that, and Sun Wukong was trembling all over. In the distance, a golden lightning bolt fell from the sky. What's the situation? Ruosi widened her beautiful eyes. Sun Wukong's energy is growing rapidly. How could the discoloration on Wes's face be like this? Ruosi was stunned. This picture seems a little familiar. Vegeta pondered. Me. I can't forgive you, Sun Wukong said. His hair was suddenly raised high, and it turned into a golden color. Frippen was also a little stunned. The next moment, I saw that the entire sky seemed to have dimmed, and streaks of golden lightning fell from the sky. A layer of golden flame appeared around Sun Wukong's body, and the flame seemed to be burning, illuminating the vast sky. He transformed. Rose was shocked. What is that change? Weiss is also thoughtful, and he is moved by a dangerous look. His energy has completely recovered. Not only that, but his combat power has increased by about 50 times. Meyer's eyes widened, and he glanced at Weiss, scepter with some sympathy. Wes' pupils also shrank sharply, and the scepter in his hand was tightly gripped by him, for fear of being robbed of it. Weiss suddenly thought, when I got up, when I saw Sun Wukong before, I felt a little uneasy in my heart. Weiss covered the danger and was speechless. What did you say? 50 times. Vegeta also heard Mel's words and couldn't help asking. Myers had to watch Vegeta, didn't pay attention. I know. Yes. It's a Super Saiyan. That bastard Kakarot. Vegeta clenched her head tightly, and Wei Wei trembled. Weiss wipes the sweat. Ruosi gave Weiss a deep look. This is bad. Brother Weiss, scepter is estimated to be out of play. The three of them are all angels. Whoever is stronger can tell at a glance, Brother Weiss, and maybe there will be a miracle on Frieza. Rose comforts. Maybe. Weiss laughed dryly, his face stiffened. What's the change? I remember that the Rakia can only become giant. Frieza's face sank, and she silently stared at Sun Wukong, thoughtfully. 3.9, Frieza. I'm pissed. Sun Wukong let out a loud shout, and a heavy punch hit Frieza in the face. Frieza whimpered and flew backwards. Damn! Frieza rubbed his face, stretched out his fingers, and shot a bright red light in the direction of Sun Wukong. The golden light flashed around Sun Wukong's body, and he dodged. What? He dodged? It's impossible. Frieza was stunned, the red flames in his hands kept flashing and Sun Wukong easily dodged. If you get hit, you're dead. Flipping laughed dryly and tried again. Sun Wukong said lightly, what did you say? Frieza became less calm, and said coldly, you brought it on yourself. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 83 Bulma, you're stupid. Frieza's fingertips condensed a red flame, and it bombarded Roger's danger. Sun Wukong didn't dodge at all. Only a muffled sound was heard, and the red flame hit Sun Wukong's chin on the spot. Sun Wukong's head smelled a little later, but his panting corner was with a faint smile on his face. Frieza's face froze, and his face became more and more ugly. Can you kill him? You, who are you? Frieza asked, tremblingly, do you still not understand? Sun Wukong said coldly, in order to defeat you, I am a Saiyan who came here from the earth, and I became a Super Saiyan because of anger. I'm Super Saiyan Son Goku. What? Super Saiyan. Frieza shivered, damn it. Kakarot. Vegeta was shaking all over, why? I am the most talented warrior among the Saiyans. I was also angry. Why can't I transform into a Super Saiyan? Weiss, is 15 still going? Sun Wukong is sure to win. Roger smiled. Weiss stopped talking. He can also see that, purely from the intensity of energy, Sun Wukong has surpassed Brother Frieza. We must have a beginning and an end. Look it up, maybe a miracle will happen in a while. Ruo-C said in a loud voice. Hey, I listened to Ruo-C. Weiss panted and moved, laughing at Brother Weiss. It's so hard for you to laugh. Ruo-C couldn't help but Daz really wanted to slap Ruo-C flying. It's so hard for me to laugh, isn't it because of you? This foolish little sister. Super Saiyan, right, I would rather kill myself than be killed by you. Frieza smiled coldly, an energy bullet condensed in her hands. Up to you. Sun Wukong looked at Frieza. However, the damned person is you. I, Frieza, can live in space, can you Saiyans? Frieza smiled. What? Sun Wukong was stunned for a while, and had a bad feeling. Go away, Namek. Frieza laughed, and the energy bomb in his hand slammed down at Namek. Rumble. The whole of Namek roared. The earth is fission, the earth is shaking, the mountains are shaking, the sand is flying, the storm is suddenly rising, it is the end of the world. Close. Roger turned into a colorful streamer and quickly appeared beside Bulma. Now, earthquakes are happening all over Namek. Bulma is located in a mountainous area, and there are rocks falling from the sky. Bulma is too dangerous. She turned pale with fright and exclaimed that the house that Weiss gave her had been reinforced through the realm of the gods, but unfortunately she had already put it away. Roger's arms wrapped around Bulma's waist, leading her to the sky. Bulma is dumbfounded. Who will hold me? As soon as Bulma turned her head, she saw Roger who was holding her. Roger, am I reading it right? Bulma was shocked. Bulma had thought about it, but they didn't guess it was Roger. Well, it's me. Roger nodded. You can fly. Bulma asked in surprise, when did you learn to fly? Bulma, didn't I say it? I'm a god who has been trained in the human world, but you don't believe it. Roger laughed. Roger, if you say you're fat, you're panting. Bulma raised her head and looked at Luo seriously. Jia, I know you're very strong. It's normal to practice secretly. Roger, you must be thinking of defeating Wukong one day, right? I actually appreciate your approach. You're trying to protect me and your beloved people, right? Roger hesitates. Roger was going to bring Bulma to Wes and the others. But, for Roger, Bulma is so stupid. You say you are so stupid, how shameless I take you to Ruo-C. Roger had to hold Bulma, suspended high in the air, and distanced himself from Ruo-C. In fact, Roger, not everyone has to cultivate into a warrior. I understand your feelings, but I don't want Luo-J, you were seriously injured or died because of it. Bulma said with concern, Roger, I am very satisfied if you have this heart. As for the battle, leave it to Wukong and the others. Bulma slowly leaned his head on Roger's shoulder. For a moment, Bulma felt so warm. Roger, for the sake of his own practice in Yusho. This kind of man is usually carefree when he wakes up, and he doesn't care about many things, but he works hard for himself and struggles. Women like hard-working men. Women don't like you because you don't have money. Without money, you can fight, you have to work hard, to achieve your ambitions and dreams. Just like Bulma, is she short of money? Bulma is not short of money, not short of anything. The reason why Bulma likes Roger is also because Roger always looks indifferent. Moreover, Roger also secretly cultivates because of himself. Of course, this is what Bulma thinks Roger is still practicing for Bulma. Roger is tired. Bulma, I am straight God, I am an angel, the greatest God in this universe. As Roger said, the angel costume on his body also appeared immediately. At the same time, a sky blue halo appeared on Roger's head. Bulma was dumbfounded. Just like that, 677 watched Roger Bulma silently for a few seconds, and then suddenly laughed. Roger, you don't have to make me happy. Bulma looked at Roger with a smile. I haven't seen an angel before, doesn't the angel have a pair of white shoulders? Also, the angel's halo is on your head. How does your halo grow around this head? Come on, Roger, you're going to pretend to be an angel, at least a little bit, okay? What you said makes sense. I don't know how to refute it. Yes, isn't the image of an angel exactly what Bulma described? Angel, but with a pair of white wings. Roger, no winged friend. I can fly, do I roast my wings? In fact, it's not just Bulma who thinks so. If Roger has not seen Dragon Ball, if he has not seen Wes, he will also think that the angel is what Bulma said. However, the angels of Dragon Ball world are not what Bulma said. Is there nothing to say? Bulma stared at Roger. Bulma, don't say we know each other, Roger sighed. I used to laugh at Ruosi for being stupid. How did Bulma become so stupid? You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 84 Frieza. Dragon, let Beerus wake up. Country. What do you mean? Bulma was puzzled. This planet is about to explode, let me send you back to Earth. Roger suggested that the planet exploded. What happened? Bulma asked in surprise. Frieza smashed the core of the planet, and in 5 minutes, the planet would explode and become cosmic dust. Roger replied. Then we hurry back to Earth. By the way, how do we get back? Isn't our spaceship broken? Bulma asked. Forget it, no need, the dragon of the Earth will send you back in a while, which will save trouble. At this time, Roger suddenly sensed that the Earth had already gathered Dragon Balls, and he was about to summon the dragon to fulfill his wish. As Roger is familiar with, after the Earth's dragon appeared, the wish was for Frieza and Frieza. The man killed by the gang is resurrected. After Earth's dragon wish came true, the sky on Namek's side suddenly darkened. Roger, look, that chubby guy is so ugly. Bulma pointed to Palinga in the distance, and said to Roger. That's the dragon of Namek, Purunga. Roger rode. The dragon of Namek. Why does it appear at this time? Bulma couldn't help asking. The dragon of the Earth appeared, and the lookout was realized, and the dragon here also appeared. Roger smiled. How did you know that, Roger? Bulma looked up at Roger. I'm resurrected. Vegeta looked at the halo that disappeared from her head, and her heart was a little complicated. At this time, the battle between Sun Wukong and Frieza was still going on. When the sky turned dark, Frieza saw the dragon of Namek at a glance. Is that a dragon? Frieza was so excited that she quickly swept in Ruo Shenlong's direction. Shenlong, let Beerus, the god of destruction, wake up. Sun Wukong is going to stop Frieza. It's just that after Sun Wukong heard Frieza's wish, he was a little confused for a while. What does this mean? God of destruction Beerus. Wake. Sun Wukong doesn't understand. Isn't fully going to be immortal. Sun Wukong felt that if Frieza really had the ability to regenerate, it would be troublesome enough, but Frieza actually wanted to wake up a man named Beerus. Who is Beerus? Palinga ignored Frieza. A Namekian child beside Palinga spoke in Namekian language. Felicity was stunned, and looked at Dandy in confusion. Strange, wasn't he killed by me? What happened? Got it, let these two stay, and the rest go to Earth. Palingered what? Frieza's dangerous look gets unsightly. Little Goku was smiling. Finally, it's time to let go. The next moment, all the humans present disappeared in the blink of an eye, including Vegeta, who was also transferred to Earth under the influence of the dragon, and Bulma also left. As a result, only Monkey King and Frieza were left on Namek, and the three angels Monkey King and Frieza in the sky started a hand-to-hand battle. As the battle continued, Sun Wukong's strength was far more than Foley's. "Brother Weiss, are we out of play? If Ruo-C wants to cry, it may not be necessary." Weiss pondered. "You two take a closer look. Although Sun Wukong has the upper hand, it is a pity that he is a very kind person." In other words, Brother Weiss thinks that Sun Wukong may not kill Frieza. Myers asked. "Enough." Weiss nodded. "With Sun Wukong's current strength, he can completely kill Frieza in seconds, but he didn't do it." Myers and Rose obviously saw it too. "So, we have one last silver lining." Weiss laughed. "Just hold on for another 5 minutes. No, it's 4 minutes now, and the planet will explode." "You say, what happens when the planet explodes?" "Frieza can survive in a vacuum, but Sun Wukong can't." Myers responded quickly. "In that case, Sun Wukong will surely die." Ruo-C's eyes also flickered with brilliance. "Yes, our agreement with Roger is that one side dies or loses the ability to fight." Weiss has a smile on his face. Myers and Rose suddenly became excited. "Yes. Foley may not lose to Sun Wukong." At this moment, it is best for the angel not to say, "death," or something like that. The three of them have ignored it, but Big Brother Weiss, Frieza seems to have awakened Beerus by Shusuo. What does he mean? It's impossible for Ruo-C to want Byaku's to help him fix Roger. Weiss said to Ruo-C, covering her face. Ruo-C suddenly thought, why is Frieza so stupid? Don't you know that Roger is powerful? It's no wonder that Beerus' three-legged cat Kung Fu can beat Roger. You guys are patient enough, no need to watch, Sun Wukong will win. Roger flew over at this time and said with a smile. HMPH, it's uncertain who wins and who loses, don't get too happy too soon. Ruo-C pouted and glared at Roger. Okay, then wait. Roger looked indifferent. Minutes later. Frieza was cut in half by the Chi Yuan he unleashed. Myers. No one speaks. Help me, Flipping begged Sun Wukong bitterly. You killed so many innocent people, how have you ever saved them? Sun Wukong begged you in a cold voice. I beg you. Frieza's breath is almost cut off. Damn it. Sun Wukong is soft-hearted and injected some breath into Frieza's body. From now on, I hope you don't do bad things again. No money. Goku turns around and walks away. The most powerful human being in the universe can only be me, Frieza. Frieza turned into anger, and suddenly a Qigong wave bombarded Sun Wukong's body. Sun Wukong looked back silently. Coon egg. Sun Wukong snorted coldly, the flames in his hands bloomed, and he directly bounced Frieza's Qigong wave back. Frieza was devoured by Sun Wukong's Qigong wave. The vitality is quite tenacious, this is not dead. Rose was so excited that Namek began to explode. Myers mused. Sun Wukong can't return to his spaceship storage point. Ha ha ha, he's finished. Ruo-C was very excited, but Weiss let out a long sigh, shook her head slightly, and handed the scepter to Brother Roger Weiss. What are you doing? We haven't lost yet. Ruo-C is in a hurry. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 85 Vados. Ruo-C, my sister is in charge of you. Ruo-C, if you lose, so why argue? Weiss smiled, and with a painful face, Roger wiped his scepter clean, and then he was sent to the other space by him. Thanks a lot, then farewell. Roger waved his hand, suddenly thought of something, looked at Ruo-C and said, by the way, where are my strawberries? Tell you later. I didn't say give you strawberries now. Ruo-C was so angry that she got bullied up and down her chest and got Brother Weiss' scepter. Do you still want strawberries? Don't forget, remember to give it to me later. Roger waved his hand, turned into a colorful flame, and disappeared in a flash. The brothers and sisters of Weiss, Myers, and Ruo-C, you look at me, I look at you. So anxious. The scepter that Whis has had for thousands of years is gone. Myers had kept the scepter for 28 years, and it was gone. Ruo C is the new universe, gone. People didn't speak for a long time, let the dust from the explosion of Namek appear around them, and even if Sun Wukong's spaceflight department passed by them, the three of them didn't move. I said before, after practicing for so many years, I really can't use such a good scepter anymore. When I look back, I ask my father to make another one. It's no big deal. Weiss advised, Myers, this bet is also an experience for you. What have you learned? I learned about the greed of angels. Myers thought for a while and said. Let's go back first. 770 Weiss greeted. Brother Weiss, Brother Myers, I won't go back with you, I'm going back to Universe 6. Joy's farewell. Alright, let's go back in a dry time. Weiss nodded, no objection to this silly sister, hurry up and leave. Stay, maybe the core of the 6th universe will be taken away by Roger, let alone the core of the 6th universe, maybe the core of the 7th universe is also in danger. Goodbye, two brothers. Ruo C waved her hand, turned into a colorful flame, and flew into the distance. Hey, Ruo C, you are in the opposite direction. Weiss is tired. Reverse again. Zoe shook her head. Wes and Myers way back. Brother 2, look at me, I look at you suddenly discovering that there is no scepter, and the flying speed has become sullen. Myers said, we'll get used to it. Weiss laughed. By the way, Brother Weiss, is the core of our 7th universe hidden? Myers lowered his voice. Don't worry, I won't let Roger take it away. Weiss nodded. Why should I worry about the core of the 7th universe? It shouldn't make sense. I must be thinking too much. After Roger got Wes's scepter, he directly received the scepter into the different space. Immediately afterwards, Roger turned into a colorful flame and went straight back to Earth. Roger had already thought about it. He wanted to make Weiss' scepter into a school set and use Myers' scepter for the god of destruction in the new universe. Let's make it into a battle armor, which can increase defense power and provide combat power. Chunya can be given to the king of the new universe. This is just great. Both Kaio God and God of Destruction have equipment. Then there are the appointments with Sabe and Clute 8 years later. The core of the two universes, the new universe used to expand and improve himself, Roger thinks it is beautiful to think about it. When Roger returned to Earth, the Namekians had just been transferred through the divine dragon Palenga. Not long after that, in addition to the resurrected Namekians, Vegeta and Bulma also followed. Overseer, this is the Earth. The Elder has spoken. Great Elder. Many Namek stars looked at the Great Elder one after another. I don't have much time left, so I'll simply tell you something. The Elders talked about what happened on Namek. The Namekians sighed for a while. Namek, actually destroyed. Huh, what about Roger? Didn't Roger come back with him? Bulma looked around, but didn't notice Roger. What? You mean, Roger has been on Earth? Vegeta heard Bulma's voice and asked in surprise. Be rolling. Bulma was taken aback. Who are you calling Bei Gun Gun? Vegeta's eyelids are black. Isn't Roger how a chair? Dandy is still struggling with this problem. What's the mess? Bulma felt her head get bigger. Say what? Roger is the chair. Here I am. Roger came over from a distance. Roger, great. Bulma jumped into Roger's arms excitedly and breathed a sigh of relief. I thought Shenlong had left you behind. Great Elder. Would you really say? What do you think of Palonga? Is he Roger? Has the chair become refined? Dandy looked at Roger unblinkingly, and shouted in his heart that Vegeta stared at Roger unblinkingly. What is the relationship between the woman of this earth and Roger? Is it Roger's love? Who is that woman who hit me? Could it be that it is also Roger's love interest? Vegeta thought about it for a while. Maybe Roger liked this one, but it's not surprising that at the same time, Vegeta was also a little bit unhappy in her heart. Fortunately, I almost wanted to kill the woman on this earth just now. If I really kill this woman named Bulma. Vegeta hit a duo. Vegeta believed that she would be miserably abused by Roger, right? It's just that Vegeta is a little puzzled. Why can he walk sideways in the underworld? I must do some research. I'm Babe, my Vegeta is going to stay on Earth. First, I spy on Roger's identity. Second, I want to become a Super Saiyan 2. One day, I'm going to hang and beat Roger. I'm going to hang and beat everyone who bullied me. Bah, I'm Vegeta. Vegeta's heart was disturbed, and her face kept changing. The sixth universe, like the Paw planet. Ruo-C, don't cry, what happened? My sister is in charge of you. Vados persuaded that since Ruo-C came back from the seventh universe, she ran to Vados and cried non-stop like Pa was a little dumbfounded. Is this still the strong little angel? How do you feel? You don't want to be bullied by others. Can you be so bold? I don't know that this little angel's angel power is as high as 9,999. Shankpa doesn't understand. Ruo-C just cried and didn't speak. Vados had to contact Weiss and wanted to ask what happened. After Vados called, there was no one on Wes's side to answer what was going on. Vados wondered, and called Myers through the scepter again. Myers didn't answer either. Vados is confused. What are they two doing? Vados was confused, and found that Ruo-C was pulling her sleeve. Vados looked at Ruo-C. Sister, it's useless, their scepter is lost. Ruo-C sobbed. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 86 Great Priest, you are so shameless. Scepter. Lost. What's the meaning? Vados was stunned for a while, with a puzzled look on his face. Ruo-C told Vados one by one what happened. You are really nonsense. Vados was so angry that his nose was crooked. I actually used an angel's scepter to go to Zubo. That's it for Bo. Also lost the scepter. Who knew that he would lose? Ruo-C pouted, her face aggrieved. Did her father know? Vados asked again as if she didn't know. Ruo-C scratched head. Let's put this matter aside for now. I have a lot of things at hand recently, and at the same time I have to think about it, how to win the scepter for both of them. Vados pondered. Negative. Sister, do you want to bet too? No, are you going to put your scepter in it? Ruo-C hurriedly discouraged. Silly sister, how could the elder sister lose? The elder sister is no better than those two silly brothers, and the word, lost, does not exist in the elder sister's angel fruit. Vados fondly stroked Ruo-C.'s long hair was arranged by Bulma, and many Namekians temporarily lived in her home. Bei Gun Gun did not come. While Roger did not roll himself, he went to find a place to practice for a while. Namek the Elder Muli succeeded to the throne, resurrected Dragon Ball, and resurrected the dead Keelan-Tianjin rice, dumplings and Leping. At the same time, it also brings Sun Wukong back to life. However, Shenlong said that Sun Wukong did not die, but it made Bulma, Sun Wuhan and others very happy. Afterwards, the Nameks moved to a new planet through Shenlong to live in Roger still eating and drinking at Bulma's house, enjoying the food. On this day, Roger suddenly felt that the scepter in a different space shook and Roger took it out. Scepter. Grand Priest, are you looking for me? Greeted Roger. Roger, come over here. The great god tastes no expression on his face. You don't want to return the scepter that I won, right? Roger asked bluntly. The great priest was stunned. What scepter? I'm looking for you because of that new universe, I'll talk about it later. The grand priest smiled. Roger, who didn't ask about the scepter, thought about it, and then he didn't hesitate anymore. He agreed. Immediately, Roger turned into a colorful flame and swept toward the temple of the grand priest. After seeing Roger, the priest said only 2 words, "Is the new universe stable?" Asked Roger. There are still 7 years and 10 months before the new universe is stable. The great god Palace said. The great priest looking for me is Roger. Be alert. It makes sense to call you here. The grand priest didn't understand why Roger had this expression, so he took a breath and said, it's about the new universe, there is a problem in the new universe. What's wrong with the new universe? Roger frowned. Roger, have you heard of the demon world? the great priest asked. Roger shook his head. But I don't know enough. Even the stories of those Dragon Balls in the previous life have taken Roger's hunting test to the demon world, and Chenjia, who can be brought up by the great priest, should not be the real world where Dapra, the king of the realm, is located. Ahem, regarding Lanji's questions, wait until you've consumed all the power of angels to the extent that you can control the power of angels perfectly, and then slowly understand. The great priest said half of what he said, and then changed the topic to the priest. You are so shameless. The great priest waved his hand lightly. Suddenly, a circle appeared out of thin air above the temple. Inside the circle is a dark world, and it was the new Cosmos priest who stepped into it first. Roger followed. Roger saw that the core of the new universe was still in the shape of a lump of earth, and the dark planet that he had condensed, similar to the size of Jiawang, had already started to slowly revolve around the core. Something is wrong. Roger suddenly felt that there was an untraceable crack near the core of this new universe. What is that? Asked Roger, pointing to the rift. Cosmic connection point. The great god Palace pondered. It may be the realm I told you, or it may be that the Dragon Realm universe has not stabilized, and it is hard to say now. Roger nodded slightly. If it is the Dragon Realm, it doesn't matter, but if it is connected to the Broad Realm, the universe will be difficult to manage. The Grand Priest smiled and turned to look at Roger. I guess there is an 80% chance that this rift will connect to the wide world, and it is near the core of the universe, which is a great threat to this new universe. Especially when the new universe has just stabilized, and the core cannot be transformed and moved, it is even more dangerous. How dangerous is it? Roger thought. If it is really connected to the demon world, once the demons invade, I can only say that it is very dangerous, even an angel will fall. When the great priest said this, he let out a long sigh. He didn't say any more, but silently turned right to the crack. Then, the high priest gave Roger a deep look, and the meaning in his eyes seemed to be saying, how about it? Do you still want this universe? This crack is a world that has a high probability of being connected. But life-threatening. You'd better get out of it as soon as possible. The new universe, I prepared it for my daughter. What are you doing here to join in the fun? Roger didn't change his face. I am an angel, am I scared? Lord High Priest, do you think that this crack can be repaired with an angel's scepter? Roger pondered the angel scepter. The great priest was stunned for a moment. Roger nodded. Roger, the angel scepter was created with great difficulty. I can declare in advance that you will use the angel scepter to repair this crack. There is a high chance that the scepter in your hand will be destroyed. I will not give it to you again. Struggling to build an angel scepter. The great priest is tired. This kid is so hateful. Do you really think it's easy to make an angel's scepter? Do you really treat the great priest as cheap labor? The great priest felt that it was more appropriate to explain these words earlier. Don't let this kid do the same thing as last time, but it won't end well, it's not my angel scepter. Roger grinned, the Grand Priest was slightly taken aback. Not your angel scepter. Anyone else's angel scepter. Although the Grand Priest is the supreme god of the Dragon Ball world, it is impossible to monitor Roger and Whis all the time. The Grand Priest also has his own business to do. For example, drinking tea, reading newspapers, playing with mobile phones. Of course, there's still some heavy work that Roger doesn't know about. Knife. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 87 Grand Priest. Myers, Dad doesn't want to hit you. Roger's hand flashed, and a scepter appeared. The High Priest's eyes narrowed slightly. The Grand Priest could see that this scepter was not Roger's, but rather the Great Priest of Myers. Do you think this scepter can repair cracks? Roger gestured and coughed. Is this Myers' scepter? His scepter can't repair the crack. After all, the cultivation time is too short, and in your hands, the power that can be exerted will also be reduced. But he was a little puzzled as to how the scepter of that boy Myers got into Roger's hands. Breeding time too short. Roger scratched his head, took back Myers' scepter, and asked curiously, "How long does it take to keep the scepter in order to repair this crack?" "At least 10,000 years. The 3 priests smiled. "All right, get the hell out of here. How good it is to quit. Am I not clear enough?" Roger silently took out Weiss' scepter. The pupils of the great priest shrank, and the smile froze. "It is said that this scepter has been preserved for thousands of years. I think it should not be a big problem to repair the crack." Roger gestured at the cosmic rift with his scepter. "Although I can't use the full strength of this scepter, but repairing a crack, I think it will be no problem. Great Priest, what do you think?" Grand Priest doesn't speak. How did Wes's scepter end up in Roger's hands? Is it enough to lend him? Yes, it must have been lent to him by Weiss. Impossible. Why did Weiss lend Roger the scepter? The great priest felt that he could not convince himself. Then, the great priest's entire body was not very calm. Repairing this crack with a scepter that has been cultivated for thousands of years is a little distressing. Roger said in a low voice that it is a bit overkill. Roger bowed slightly. Great priest wiped sweat. "What do you mean? The new universe is already yours. Are you going to let it out?" However, the great priest is not in the mood to go to the new universe yet. The great priest has to figure out why the scepters of Weiss and Myers ran into Roger's hands. "Then, if it's okay, I'll go back first." Roger's resignation is good. The high priest nodded. Roger turned into a colorful flame, and disappeared in a flash. Roger wiped his sweat. Is it time for Weiss and Myers to crash? The two of them won't be beaten to death by the great priest, right? Do not blame me. I don't want to show your scepter either. It was your father who passed me. Beerus planet. In a flash, a green figure appeared on the planet, the great priest. Weiss hurriedly bowed and saluted. "Today, I am not a high priest, I am your father," the great priest said in a dark and dangerous way. "Yes, my lord." Does Weiss suddenly have a bad feeling about the scepter? The great priest directly asked Huo. Weiss giggled. The danger of the great priest is even darker. Can you still laugh? Weiss shook his head. The grand priest didn't say anything, and the figure disappeared in a flash. Before leaving, the grand priest threw a new scepter to Wes. There was no way. The angel didn't have a scepter. With the new scepter, even if it is not cultivated, it is the Galaxy Tour Honey headquarters that can do basic calls and videos. Myers is getting ready to go on a mission. Just when Myers just stepped on the spaceship, he sensed a figure appearing beside him. Myers sank in his heart and suddenly became vigilant. Myers felt that there was an extremely dangerous signal. Who was near him? Myers looked around quickly. A green figure appeared behind Myers. Myers hurriedly looked back. "Ah, is it the great priest?" Myers bowed and saluted. "Today, I am not a high priest, I am your father. The great divine palace is dark and dangerous. Sir, do you have any instructions?" Myers salutes Myers. "Do you know how difficult it is to create a new scepter?" It is indeed a very complicated thing to ask the grand priest. And only the father can make a scepter at present. Myers replied that since he knew, he would still take the scepter as a bet. Myers scratched his head and replied with a wry smile. "Should be victorious." The high priest's face turned green. Silent for a moment. "Myers, since you were born, Dad hasn't hugged you. Come on, let Dad hug you. The great priest is recruiting." This. So embarrassed, Myers smiled with a blushing face. "How, are you not happy?" The great priest narrowed his eyes. Mel's dozing took a moment, and had to drive Z to come over. The grand priest gave Myers a warm hug. "Myers, I have never beaten you and your siblings since they were born. We are angels, we are not like humans." The great priest whispered. "Yes." Myers groaned in his heart. Weiss has lived for thousands of years, and he will lose face when he fights. If Ruosi is a girl, if it's not good for him, he should beat you up. The great god. Ah, Myers froze. Am I really your own? Why did you beat me up? Myers wanted to cry. It is said that on this day, Myers was hung up by the Grand Priest and beaten severely. Fortunately, the Grand Shrine is quite authentic. After beating Myers, he was given a new 1.5 scepter. Not long after Roger returned to Bulma's house, he saw Vegeta flying over. Roger sat on the reclining chair, drinking coffee, and paying attention to Vegeta's unsatisfactory guy. God. Less, Dad doesn't want to. Factory you. Roger, you know what? The purpose of Fleet's collection of Dragon Balls this time. Vegeta asked. Don't ask me. If you have anything, just say it. Roger replied indifferently that he wanted to wake up Beerus, the god of destruction. Vegeta said solemnly, Roger, you are indeed very powerful, but you may not know how powerful Beerus is. I'd better be careful. Fortunately, this guy Kakarot killed Frieza, but there is no need to worry about Beerus awakening. Speaking of the god of destruction, do you want to be the god of destruction? Roger glanced at Vegeta. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 88 Vegeta, do you want to be the god of destruction? What's the meaning? Vegeta was stunned. God of destruction in the new universe, are you interested? Roger got a little impatient. To make you a god of destruction is to look down on you. Where does all this nonsense come from? Simply put, your main job is to maintain the balance of the universe, and you have nothing to destroy and destroy the planet, Roger explained. You can make me a god of destruction. Who exactly are you? Vegeta is stunned, her body is shaking. Don't be surprised, what a big deal. Roger shook his head and only needs to destroy the planet. It's that simple. Vegeta doesn't ask any more questions, her eyes lit up to destroy the planet. I'm good at this. If you are kind, I will give you a piece of equipment after a while, which can increase your strength by 10 times. As you don't get used to the equipment, you can increase your strength to a maximum of 100 times. Can continue to improve, Roger said. A piece of equipment can increase your strength by 10 times. This is equivalent to the effect of turning into a giant ape. When you are on an equal footing with Beerus in the future, do you think you still need to be afraid of him waking up? Roger laughs. On an equal footing with Beerus. Vegeta shuddered. He never dared to think about such a thing. Can he be on an equal footing with the god of destruction? Roger, can you really make yourself a god of destruction? Vegeta re-evaluated Roger's real identity equipment again. Don't worry about it. It will take a certain amount of time to build it. After building it, I will naturally find you. After Roger said this, he signaled that Vegeta could get out. Vegeta was standing by Roger's side. What else did he mean without leaving? Roger took a sip of coffee and asked Roger to become a god of destruction in the future, right? I'm going to be stronger now. Please train me. Vegeta gritted his teeth and pleaded. Become a Super Saiyan first and then come to me. Roger said without looking back. Can I become a Super Saiyan? Vegeta has already been hit hard, and subconsciously thinks that he will not change, only the Bardock family will. I take you back to 1,000 years ago, and let you witness the first Super Saiyan. How much leisure am I? Roger turned to Vegeta in black. Roger, I've been angry, but I can't transform into a Super Saiyan no matter what. I don't even know why this happens. Vegeta was startled, and hurriedly replied. What are you angry about? Roger smiled. Is it because I got angry with you? Vayanta's heart was violent, and she stopped talking. How did Roger know? Oh, I suddenly remembered that it seems to be transformed into a Super Saiyan. There is a premise. Roger raised his head and seemed to think of something. What premise? Vegeta is stunned. It seems to have a peaceful mind. Roger thought about it and replied, after all, Roger has been on the angelic tree for 100,000 years, and he has forgotten many things. Brother, Roger is not a Saiyan, and he doesn't need to become a Super Saiyan. Man, I can't remember these things, but it's okay, Roger suddenly remembered. Peace of mind. Vegeta was slightly startled. What are you doing? Simply put, it is to make you more human, such as family, friendship or love. Roger smiled. Vegison. Gun, go talk about a vigorous love, maybe you will find your peaceful heart. Roger waved. Real. Why does Vegeta feel that Roger is a little unreliable? As soon as Vegeta's voice fell, she felt a coercion attacking Vegeta, but she felt her body sink, and her whole body sank directly into the ground. Are you questioning me? Robaji can't speak anymore, shouted Roger. Vegeta soared into the sky quickly and hurried away. Wait, come back. Roger seemed to suddenly think of something. Where does Vegeta dare to come back? What makes Vegeta worthy of celebration is that when he saw Roger this time, Roger didn't go back now. Vegeta flies faster. Vegeta was convinced that Roger was drinking coffee, and he should not be in the mood to chase him. Seeing Vegeta running away, Roger shook his head. This miserable child. I wanted to tell you that it seems that if you focus your energy on the back, you can also become a Super Saiyan, but it saves the step of falling in love. Roger watched Vegeta the disappearing direction. Shook his head slightly. Was that Bei Gun Gun just now? Bulma looked to the right of the white light that disappeared from the sky, with a blank face. What is he doing here? Bulma suddenly realized something, and hurriedly ran in Roger's direction. Bulma breathed a sigh of relief until Roger was lying on the reclining chair and drinking coffee safe and sound. I thought Bei Gun Gun was going to trouble you, scared me to death. Bulma asked him to trouble me. Bulma, you think too much. Roger smiled. He's Bulma who came to beg me. Roger, you can really blow. 157 I-764, early. It has been nearly a year since the Namek explosion. After this year's experience, Roger once again consumed 1,000 points of angel power, so that the real God domain finally forgave the threshold of 199 and reached a height of 210. Angel power, only 500 left. When the last 500 points of angel power are consumed, Roger will complete the perfect control of angel power, and at the same time, it will also improve the true God domain to a certain extent. On this day, the phone at Bulma's house suddenly rang. Roger happened to be beside the phone and picked up the phone. Hello, is that Bulma? I'm Krillin. I am Roger, replied Roger. Roger, something bad happened. Frieza is still alive. He was about to arrive on Earth, and Wukong's spaceship was behind him, and Kling exclaimed, tell Bulma later and ask her to help collect the Dragon Balls first. If Wukong really can't come back in time, just it is necessary to be able to ask Shenlong to transfer him back. Frieza will definitely die this time. If Sun Wukong doesn't kill him, someone will naturally solve him. Roger smiled and hung up the phone. Hand over. Why don't you play your cards according to common sense? You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 89 Is Shenlong drunk? Flippin soon came to Earth with his father Kurd and many younger brothers, including Piccolo, Son Gohan, Keelan, Tianjin Fan, and Leping. All of them were so frightened that their faces were pale and too powerful. Foley's breath is so powerful. When will Sun Wukong come back? Piccolo said in a low voice. After stalling for time, I called Bulma and asked her to help collect Dragon Balls, and then transferred Goku through Shenlong. Krillin scratched his head, but it was Roger's call, and he said someone would come and fix Frieza's case. What does Roger mean by this? Tianjin Rice asked. Okay, Roger is just an ordinary person, what does he know? Piccolo shouted, let's go. Piccolo soars into the sky. Krillin and the others also flew in the direction of Frieza. Far away. Listen, spread out immediately and kill everyone on this planet. Fleagrass has given an order. At this time, someone suddenly appeared directly opposite Frieza. Freebud glanced at. Who am I to be? Isn't this Vegeta? Are you alive too? It's so rare. Frieza looked at Jovegeta with a smile. He, Frieza, you really make me happy. Vegeta laughed. Because Frieza was hit by Sun Wukong on Namek, many parts of his body have been transformed into machines. Even the healing device can't restore Frieza's body. Is this the Kurdish king? Vegeta looked at Kurd. King Kurd, Vegeta told you to speak to Kurd. Kurdish Yiba Shui took this little brother's painting into a blood fog. Vegeta, stop talking nonsense, are you here to die? Fleece sneered, have you forgotten how you died on Namek? If I were you, I would find a place to hide, but you'd better run out and die on your own initiative. Humph, Frieza, just laugh, and you will cry later. The corners of Vegeta's mouth twitched. When Piccolo and the others arrived at Vegeta, who appeared at the scene, they were all a little stunned. Was that Vegeta? Vic was stunned. Why is Bei Gun Gun here? I thought he was already high above the earth. Krillin scratched his head, and Vegeta seemed to have been practicing hard. He wanted to surpass my father one day. Son Gohan is right, there is one thing I don't quite understand. Krillin looked at Vegeta in the distance and pondered. Gohan, you said that the favor at that time was not for Frieza, and Frieza was a group of killed people resurrected. Wasn't Bei Gongye killed by Wukong's vitality bomb? Why did he resurrect? Bright, Uncle Krillin, you are so. I also remembered. Sun Wufan scratched his head and suddenly realized that Shenlong was drunk. Klein guessed. Haha, it may be that Shenlong saw that Bejiken was doing well, so he deliberately resurrected him. Is Son Gohan guessing that I'm not doing well? Why not resurrect me? Why do I have to make a separate wish for resurrection? Is it because my head is not round? Krillin is not very calm. Shenlong, you are too partial. However, looking at Vegeta's posture, do you want to challenge Frieza? Tianjin Fan asked Shiji, and he looked quite confident. Keelan responded to Uncle Klin, don't forget, Vegeta can be reborn enough. Son Gohan said. Is it the immortal body that Shenlong said? Vic asked. Krillin and Son Gohan nodded together. Then tell me, why did the first wish make Vegeta become immortal? Vic hasn't figured it out yet. I don't know. How does the ghost know what's going on? Krillin shook his head. This is a mysterious existence. Inexplicably, Vegeta became immortal. No, it's core regeneration. Can be beautiful and immortal. Uncle Vic, shall we go up and help? Son Gohan asked. Look first. Piccolo replied, but wait, Vegeta can hold out until Goku returns. Vegeta, you are really confident enough. Have you forgotten how I abused you on Namek? Frieza looked at Vegeta with interest. Frieza, I saw that you were turned into a dog by Kakarot, who turned into a Super Saiyan. Vegeta is easygoing. Frieza felt heartbroken, and a bright red flame shot out from her hand, and it bombarded Vegeta's heart with a wave of her hand. Immediately, the ray of light was shot flying. Oh, Vegeta, I underestimate you. Frieza was stunned for a moment, and gave Frieza a cold smile. Look carefully, Kakarot is not only a Super Saiyan, but also me. Vegeta's mouth evoked an evil arc. Bang! Immediately afterwards, Vegeta's whole body bloomed with golden light, and her hair turned golden yellow. At the same time, Vegeta's breath also emerged crazily. What? Vegeta, this is Piccolo's discoloration. What is this change? Krillin was also shocked. Such a powerful Kijinfin said solemnly. This is a Super Saiyan. That's how my dad became. Sun Wufan looked stunned and stuttered when he spoke. Super Saiyan. Is this the Super Saiyan? Vic's face cold sweat fell on Frieza's face, and when Frieza saw that Begib became like this, she was so frightened that her whole body shook and groaned. Frieza, I've tried everything to become a Super Saiyan. A lot of hardships. Vegeta Piena's teeth. My dignified Saiyan prince, is actually in love with a woman on Earth. What's the situation? What is Bei Gun Gun talking about, as Zhao? Krillin is puzzled. Vegeta's body seemed to be shaking. Leping interjected that he said he was in love with a woman on Earth. What does that mean? Vic was in a relationship with a confused look. Does Bei Gun Gun have a girlfriend? Keelan was very surprised. This is not like Bei Gun Gun's style. Why are you in a relationship and still trembling all over? Vic is too vain to understand. Leping guessed the negative. Kling. Tianjin Rice. Piccolo is at a loss. Son Gohan doesn't understand. Frieza, go to hell. Vegeta said, suddenly swayed, and appeared directly opposite Frieza. At the same time, Vegeta put her hands on Frieza's body, and the energy in her hands emerged, and the corners of her mouth were slightly raised. Frieza's face became extremely ugly. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 90 Preview from the 11th Universe. Flames bloom in Vegeta's hands. Only a loud bang was heard. Looking at it again, Frieza was torn apart by Vegeta's bombardment and died on the spot. Everyone was stunned. Kurdish King, you were next. Vegeta smiled and Kurd was shaking with fear. Too terrifying. Too terrifying. Is this the Super Saiyan? Vegeta has nothing to be kind and soft-hearted, and punched Kurd in the head. Kurd. As for you guys. Vegeta looked at Flippin's younger brothers. Flippin's younger brothers were all scared to pee, and knelt down and begged for mercy. The flames in Vegeta's hands bloomed, killing these Frieza's younger brothers, and returning them to the Emperor of the Universe. Vegeta smiled contemptuously. Immediately afterwards, Vegeta's golden light flashed and appeared beside Krillin in an instant. Krillin and the others were terrified. What a great speed! Becky kicked Krillin to the ground. You asked me to try again, Baigun. Vegeta said coldly. Krillin shivered with fright. Did I call? I heard it too. Shu 567. Vegeta disappeared in a flash. 5 minutes later. Vegeta landed in the yard of Bulma's house and stood by Roger's side. You didn't disappoint me this time. Roger smiled slightly and Vegeta looked at Roger silently. Do you want to challenge him now? My basic combat power is much stronger than Kakarot, can I still beat Roger? Forget it, be patient. When I'm sure I can hang and beat Roger, then I'll get rid of him. After thinking about this, Vegeta became a lot more honest. Suji, what you said about the way to fall in love is right. Sure enough, after I talked with that woman for a while, I became a Super Saiyan when I was angry. Vegeta nodded and said yes, but just wiped it out. It's just a Frieza, there's nothing to be proud of. Roger has to take care of Roger, and no one gives him good things. Frieza has come to Earth this time, but there is nothing like Whis, scepter. There is none left. Meyer's scepter is also gone. No, the two of them have new scepters. It was given to them by the great priest. Just give them 10 courage, and they don't dare to use the scepter as a bet, right? Roger wondered, where did the core of the 7th universe go? Is it also like most of the universe, they are all succumbing to the god of destruction, or did they take the time to call Beerus? Then ask Beerus to fill in the core of the 7th universe. It seems that it is a bit difficult to fill in Beerus now. It's not easy to do it yourself. With the current strength of Monkey King and Vegeta, isn't it still hanging and beating to challenge Beerus? Roger thought for a while, and Noon took out the scepter and spoke to Krut, who had practiced in the 11th universe. Roger, what's the matter? Krut's voice came over immediately. Vegeta glanced at it, surprised in her heart. This stick is amazing. Clute, what have you been up to lately? Asked Roger. Haha, what else can you be busy with? Isn't it experience? Clute haha, the 199th hurdle in the realm of true gods is really difficult. Roger sighed, yes, there is no shortcut. Krut smiled, but I feel like I'm fast. I only have 1 month at most. I will break through 199 and enter 200 Sabe. His cooking god domain should have entered 200, right? Roger asked if there was no Shubei. I was about the same as him. He estimated that it was about a month. It might be earlier than me, or it might be later than me, within a few days. Krut replied with a smile, I passed 3 months ago, and now I am 220 in the realm of the gods. Roger said that Coot was a beast. Then, Krut just terminated the call. Are you here to show off? Are you here to worry? 11th Universe. After Krut hung up the phone, Shen was fine BFE, for a long time, gritted his teeth, and called Sabe. Then, Krut told Roger what happened to Babe. How can it be? He broke the 199 threshold 3 months ago. How can I not believe it? Sabe expressed doubts about this kind of thing. There is no need for him to lie. Let's go to the 7th universe and see it at a glance. If he lied, wouldn't he slap himself in the face? Krut replied that the new universe will be stable after 7 years. After 7 years, it is possible that our real god domain will surpass him. Even if we can't surpass him, Don't we have a bet? Do you think that the fool named Sun Wukong can defeat Ji even? Weebei laughed, and thought for a while. It was said that a year ago, both Weiss and Myers lost their scepters to Roger, and for this reason, the great priest even slapped Myers. Krut said. Oh, is there something about it? I don't know. Sabe feigned surprise. Lei Bei, think about it, is it because Roger got Weiss' scepter that his real god domain improved so quickly? Krut didn't care whether Shibi was pretending or not, and then guessed that it might be possible for you to say so. After all, Weiss's scepter has been cultivated for thousands of years. Sabe replied to Shibi, you said, shall we have a good chat with the angels of our respective universes and get their scepters too? Krut asked with a smile. If you want to die, don't pull me. Sabe's face turned green. Is the scepter of an angel so easy to get hold of? It's just that the angel Weiss of the 7th universe is rather stupid. He actually used his scepter as a bet result. Roger took the scepter away, right? Are you dumbfounded now? The angel of our universe, Karen, is very shrewd. Saba said. Also, the Macaulay wall in our universe is not easy to fool. Clute was a little disappointed, if he had known that he had chosen the 7th universe. Or the angel Weiss of the 7th universe is more stupid. How did you get to number 2 on the angel rankings? In fact, since we can't get the scepters of our respective cosmic angels, why don't we think of a way to get Weiss' scepter from Roger's hands? Shibai suddenly thought of something, smiled and suggested to Clute that Clute's eyes also lit up slightly. For example, we can have a preview match, which is a small match between Jiren and Sun Wukong before the battle, Sabe pondered. Preview match. I think this is feasible, but I'm afraid that Roger may not agree. Crudo nodded, and said with some worry, and agreed, if he let Bardock or Renbu fight, our people can beat them. The strength of that Buu is average, but Bardock is indeed stronger. Shubei responded, thought about it, and had an idea. Well, we can't restrict him from using Bardock anymore. If he uses Bardock, we will let the 3 selected by this fight, each of them. 1 round. If he doesn't pick Bardock, he can fight with just 1 man. Please contact him first to see what he thinks, and we will make temporary adjustments. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 91. You are making me difficult. In your universe, is there no human being stronger than Jiren? Krut asked that the comprehensive level of our universe is high, because the humans in our 8th universe are all very strong, but there is no top-notch powerhouse like Jiren. Babe sighed, the strongest is actually equivalent to 30% of your cosmos, but human beings with similar strength in our cosmos have reached 70%. With that said, apart from Jiren, it was only Torpo who went to battle. Clute pondered the candidates for the battle, and we will talk about it later. Contact him first, and see what Roger has to say. Sa tilde bei xiao xiao. Immediately, Sabe and Krut started a video call through the scepter. Roger looked at Krut and Sabe in the crystal ball, smiled and said hello. Vegetor A refused to leave here. Roger the First didn't go out to chase him. Krut. You are not authentic. What are you doing to hang up my phone? Straight rude, Roger then reprimanded irritably. After saying this, Roger directly interrupted the call with Krut and Vegeta's eyes widened. As expected of Roger, do you care too much about this? So mighty. I just said that my real god's realm has exceeded 199, and he has cut off the call. Sabe, you say, is it appropriate for him to do this? Roger said angrily. Haha, yes, is it not authentic or not? Let him come in again and apologize to you. Weebei haha, who is not authentic? Who is inauthentic? You have broken through 199, you don't need to show off. Sabe also felt a little worried at this time. Sabeki also wanted to hang up the phone directly. So sad. After a while, Clute connected, the avatar appeared, and apologized to Roger. What are you afraid of? For the sake of Weiss, Scepter, endure. What the hell is going on with the 2 of you? Roger asked. Cough, Roger, we are just 2 of us, how come we are going to talk about it? Clute laughed. Well, only two people, answered Sabe. Suddenly, I feel like I've heard a similar conversation somewhere. Crut pondered and said, okay, stop talking nonsense, hurry up, what's the matter? I'll hang up. Roger is a little impatient. You said that I still have 500 points of angel power left. I'm so busy, I'm still waiting to chat with you. You let me be quiet, so I can continue to consume the power of angels. Crut and Sabe looked at each other across the universe. Both were silent. Power is also extremely quiet. Clute is 30 years older than Roger. When he became an adult, the power of angels was 7,000. Now that he has practiced for 59 years, a large part of the power of angels has been consumed, but there are still more than 1,000 people left. Babe is 27 years older than Roger. The strength of the angel's power is 6,500 after adulthood, and now it has been practiced for 56 years, and there is still 1,500 of the strength of the angel. There is no harm without comparison. Look at Roger again, there are only 500 angel powers left. Are you letting us live? Besides, didn't you contact us first? Why did I ask you to chat with us? Crut and Sabe are tired. Why don't you speak? Asked Roger. Clute. I'm worried. What are you asking us to say? Roger, your experiences among us, you can be regarded as a very outstanding existence. You are indeed a genius, ha ha ha. Clute praised, and before Roger could speak, he immediately changed the subject. Roger, there are still 7 years left, and we Jiren and Sun Wukong will compete. I'm thinking, we should communicate well. Maybe there will be a higher understanding, do you say? Kurt is right, we should have nothing to talk about. Look at last year, we didn't even make a phone call. Sabe laughed. What you said seems reasonable. Roger nodded slightly and asked, how to communicate? Are you coming here or am I going to your place? I discussed it with Shubei, it's just a simple exchange, and it doesn't mean much. Why don't we have a preview match? Court proposes _. Clute, quickly tell Roger what the preview fee is. Sabe didn't wait for Roger to speak, and hurriedly replied that 7 years later, aren't Sun Wukong and Jiren going to fight? It's just that 7 years is a bit long, although for us, 7 years is nothing, but always can't we just waste these 7 years? Kurt smiled slightly, he had already thought about his words, and at this time, it was hype and wonderful, so, I think it's better for us to have a preview first. The simple meaning is that in addition to Jiren and Sun Wukong, we choose 1 to 3 people from our respective universes and challenge each other. What do you think? Boring, I don't see it well. Roger refused without thinking, shook his head and said, I thought you were going to say. What? It turned out that I said this for a long time, just to hold this preview game. I'm not interested, what if you add a little bit of color? Shibei smiled. What color, head? Do you have anything else you can get your hands on? Roger glanced at the two of them. The core of the universe is the forecast after 7 years, this can't be released. We also have scepters, said Clute. You guys. Scepter. Roger's danger is slightly discolored. Roger, what's your expression like? Saba asked. Do you dare? Myers is said to have been hung up and touched. Roger sighed. Ghouls was born by the great priest. It's okay to touch it. We are not biological. Crut's face doesn't matter such steel. However, it's useless for me to ask for your scepter. I already have Wes' scepter, which has been cultivated for thousands of years. Roger sighed. That is, our scepter feet are useless. In fact, we are mainly for communication. As for the scepter, it is just entertainment. Haha, is it insufficient? Crut smiled and persuaded you not to want to exchange your 2 scepters for Wes's scepter. Roger suddenly looked directly at the two of them, and the Black Dad asked with a face. Crut's face froze. Sabe also laughed dryly. I guessed it, you are so shameless. Roger's face is even darker. Haha, how is it possible? Of course we won't. Clute hurriedly denied it. Yes, of course not. Sabe also said, you can use your scepter and Myers' scepter as Zuwei's school of authority. It has been cultivated for thousands of years. Since it is already in your hands, haha, how can we? Crut glared. Didn't you say that before? You're going to get West Scepter. What do we want Roger and Myers scepters for? Liu Bei winked at Clute, meaning he had his own measure. You made me embarrassed. Roger sighed. That's it, for the sake of it, I'll accompany you to play. Knife. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 92 Brawly. So, Roger, do you think we pick 3 or 1? Kruger asked someone. There are many people. Roger suggested. Okay, that's it. Crut is delighted. If Roger chooses 3 people, one of them must be Bardock. It's just that in the 7th universe, except for Bardock, everyone else is too weak. In Crut's words, Jiren can collapse a group of people 3 days later. Let your people come to the 7th universe. Roger ordered. Sky. Okay, 3 days for 3 days. Clutter immediately agreed that Roger had also terminated the communication. Who are you looking for? Roger glanced at Vegeta. Vegeta turned into a Super Saiyan. Choose me now. I am a Super Saiyan. 770, I'm stronger than Kakarot. Roger didn't answer. With the current strength of Vegeta and Sun Wukong, it is impossible to be the opponent of the 11th universe. However, bringing Vegeta to fight with the people of Universe 11 is also an experience for him, and he can't swallow all 3 games, right? It doesn't matter if you lose a game, anyway, it's 2 wins in 3 games, so give them some face, or if the 2 of them don't play after 7 years, then the core of these 2 universes will not be easy to get. Roger's mind soon has a candidate. Roger is also very clear why Crut and Sabe chose to fight with 3 people. The only thing they worried about was that they chose Bardock, the ancient Super Saiyan god who has lived for 1,000 years. At present, apart from Bardock, there is really no human being in the 7th universe. Let alone Toppo, it is Tispo, with Sun Wukong, and in terms of Vegeta's current strength, it is also possible to be abused, and Roger has already had a choice in his heart. Bei Gun, do you want to participate? Roger asked. Humph. Listen to what they mean, they are people from another universe. I am now the number 1 in the universe. It is also a pleasure to compete with people from another universe. Vegeta's face was full of confidence and practice, and 3 days later, she came here to gather. Roger patted Vegeta on the shoulder. Then, Vegeta sank directly into the ground. First in the universe. Don't you count. You are dismissed. Roger waves. Vegeta pierced his teeth, immediately soared into the sky, and disappeared quickly. At the same time, Vegeta also had lingering fears. Fortunately, I didn't have a moment to challenge Roger. This guy is horrible. Just patted himself on the shoulder lightly, made himself unable to resist, and sank into the ground. Roger, who is he? Also, who is the great priest? Vegeta's curiosity and confusion. It seems that our universe is called the 7th universe. What universe are those 2 people in? Forget it, don't care, you'll know when you go to see it in 3 days. Hey! Roger turned into a colorful flame and disappeared into the Sky Wampa planet. The environment of this planet is extremely harsh, there are often storms raging, and the entire sky is also blocked by wind and sand. There are only 2 people on the planet. The rest are all monsters with extremely huge combat power, several times or even hundreds of times that of these 2 people for 30 years. 30 years. A middle-aged uncle with white hair and a tail behind him sighed in the sky. Next to the middle-aged man is a young man who has turned around. In fact, the age of 30 is not too young, but Saiyans are a fighting nation, and their appearance will not look sad for a long time after they are set very early. Brawly, we must find a way to get off this planet. Paragus clenched the student head. Brawly nodded slightly, but was stunned for a moment, and looked up at the colorful flames in the sky. What it is? Paragus also saw that colorful flame, and was a bit confused for a while. On this planet for 30 years. Paragus has never seen such a colorful flame so amazing. An even more magical thing happened to Paragus, only to see the colorful light flashing towards him. What's the situation? Paragus' face changed slightly, and the colorful flames flickered a few times, and then he flew away Brawly and launched an attack. Pelagus hurriedly ordered. Then, Paragus tragically discovered that after his voice fell, the colorful flames had already disappeared into the sky and completely disappeared. What a great speed! Paragus was amazed. Brawly did not speak. Son likes silence, Pelagus knows it. Especially since he knocked off the ear of his son's good friend Ba. My son seems unhappy. What are you kidding? Are you friends with a monster? Brawly, let's go and get some food. Paragus told this planet that life is boring. Eat and drink only worm eggs. Paragus has had enough of this life. However, in order to survive, what is it to suffer a little? The daily greed hunt is also the homework that Paragus and Brawly must do because they want to live. Brawly, what about people? Paragus glanced at Brawly's place just now, only to find that Brawly was gone. Paragaspirus. This bastard must have run away by himself again. Paragus didn't think much about it. Fortunately, the detector was still available, and he pressed the detector immediately. Then, Paragus' face became hard. Brawly, gone. On the detector, there is absolutely no signal response from Brawly. How is this going? Hello, Brawly, where are you? Exclaimed Paragus. However, Brawly could no longer hear. At this time, Brawly, under the leadership of Roger, entered 5.5 and entered the vast starry sky. Brawly was also confused. He looked right at the starry sky, and silently turned right to Roger. Hello, Brawly, my name is Roger. Roger smiled at Brawly. Brawly didn't speak, stared with some vigilance. Dad, Roger, don't be afraid, I have no malice. Roger greeted. When Sabe and Clute said they were going to have a 3-player race, Roger had Brawly in his heart. 3 days later, I'll show you what the legendary Super Saiyan is. Where are we going? Broly spoke. Take you to a good environment to live. Roger smiled. Where is my father? Brawly thought about it and asked. Without him. Roger replied directly. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 93 Legendary Super Saiyan vs Ancient Super Saiyan God. When you become stronger in the future, you can find a spaceship to bring your father back. Roger. Brawly's eyes lit up and nodded lightly. Immediately afterwards, Brawly took a look, and when he arrived at a light blue planet, Roger took Brawly, turned into a colorful flame, and landed on the planet. Roger took out an all-purpose capsule and threw it out. The all-purpose capsule immediately transformed into a lot of delicious food. There are a total of 40 delicious dishes, equivalent to an open-air buffet restaurant. Brawly, a good meal. Roger waved to Brawly. This is food. Brawly was stunned. Eat everything. Roger nodded. Brawly first put his nose up to sniff it. Then, Brawly was no longer polite. He grabbed these delicacies with his hands and ate 0 delicacies. In less than half an hour, he was wiped out by Brawly. Roger, you are a good person. Brawly had enough to eat and drink, enjoyed the best delicious food in the world, and gradually became familiar with Roger. In his heart, he felt that Roger was a very good person. Ha ha ha, it's not a big deal, just a little food. That's it. Roger laughed and let out a little breath. 30 seconds later. 2 people appeared directly opposite Roger, a man and a woman who looked very similar to Sun Wukong. Roger, sure enough, it's you. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. I never imagined that you were actually on this planet. Bardock looked at Roger excitedly. Bardock, you are still alive. Roger feigned surprise. Nay, you get out of here first. I have a lot of things to talk to Roger about. Bardock is facing Bardock next to him. Don't fight. You can't beat him. Humph. Bardock smiled lightly, but his face was full of confidence. Bardock really wanted his wife to stay and see his strength. However, his strength was too strong, and it would be bad if he accidentally injured his son, so Bardock drove him away. This Bardock always feels different from before. Giant thoughtful and whispered something. I didn't expect it, Roger. I lived for more than 1,000 years, and I finally found planet Vegeta. At the moment when planet Vegeta exploded, I saved my life. Jinne. Bardock saw that Jinne was flying far away, so he looked at Roger coldly, and said solemnly, I've waited for a long time for this day. For you, it may only be a moment, but for me, it's 1,000 years. This Bardock was the Bardock who was exiled to 1,000 years ago by Roger. Because Roger's exiled Bardock is on the same timeline as himself, so as long as Bardock is still alive, he will appear on his own timeline. In other words, Bardock at this time is a human who has lived for 1,000 years. For human beings, 1,000 years is long enough. Of course, to the angels, 1,000 years is just a click away. Have you obtained immortal youth through Shenlong? Roger asked with a smile. You know. Bardock was slightly startled. HMPH, it's okay to know, I did get immortal youth through the Dragon of Namek. I can't die, at least I can't. As for the other Saiyans, I have no obligation to save them. I only saved my wife Jine at the moment when planet Vegeta exploded. Bardock, you seem to have given yourself green. Roger mused, and Bardock's expression froze. It seems that I really gave myself green. Roger, you let my wife and I get separated, you let me taste 1,000 years of loneliness, I can't spare you. Bardock said, his breath spread out little by little, I have practiced for 1,000 years, and now I, even if I don't become a Super Fayar, can still beat you. Roger, what happened to him? Broly couldn't help but ask a question. It's a long story and simple. He was angry and wanted to fight me. Roger lowered his voice to fight. And me. I'll fight him. Broly is worried about not having a chance to repay Roger. I didn't expect it to be so good. So soon I can repay Roger well. Be careful, he's very powerful, he's been practicing for 1,000 years, Roger said. I am also strong. Broly smiled, almost confidently. Okay, then please. Roger nodded solemnly. Broly stepped forward. Who are you? Get out of the way. It has nothing to do with you. Bardock froze slightly, glanced at Broly. Roger as my benefactor, and if he wants to challenge him, he must pass my level first. Broly said coldly and childishly. Bardock smiled contemptuously, his breath burst out. Bardock waved his hand lightly, and hit Broly in the first place. Suddenly, Broly's body fell back. Inverted flight. Rumbling. Broly's body slammed into the mountain behind him. The mountain collapsed, the smoke rose. Act recklessly, Bardock sneered, then ignored Broly, and squinted at Roger, you are next. Roger. Bardock whimpered towards Roger. Seeing when Bardock's student was about to hit Roger, Broly flew up from a distance and slammed away with a heavy punch, which collided with Bardock's fist at that time. Immediately afterwards, Broly 180 punches bombarded the past, and the fist climbed to the meat. Bardock was stunned. Who is this kid? Why is the energy so huge? However, there seems to be no fighting skills. However, the power of energy can make up for the lack of combat skills. Damn! Bardock snorted coldly, raised his breath again, and kicked out Bardock, directly hitting Broly's abdomen. Then Bardock was stunned. Because Bardock felt that his foot was kicking on a piece of hard metal and then looking at Broly, it was as if he was nothing. Bardock is not very calm. Broly grabbed Bardock's hair and greeted him fiercely, making Bardock's eyelids red. Boy, you are too sloppy. Bardock was furious, and his fist thumped hard on Broly's chest. At the same time, Bardock's golden glow bloomed all over his body, his hair stood up high, and he turned into a Super Saiyan. Right to Bardock's transformation, Broly Khan shrank, and he was a little stunned. What kind of change is this? Also transformed. Snort. Do you think you will change? You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 94 Roger, do you know God of Destruction? After the transformation, Bardock was far more powerful than Broly. At that time, he slapped Bardock violently and laughed wildly at Broly. Demo, are you the only one who wants to challenge me? Then, Bardock looked at Roger with a fresh look. It's just that when Bardock was proud, Broly's whole body once again emerged a powerful energy. At the same time, Brawly's Yukong also turned white. In addition, Brawly's body has become a lot bigger. Brawly grabbed Bardock's head and rubbed frantically on the ground. Then, Brawly grabbed Bardock's ankle with a big hand and beat Bardock back and forth on the ground to hear loudly. Brawly hits Bardock with punch after punch. Blood spurted from Bardock's mouth. Enough. Bardock was beaten, and the red light around him bloomed. When I looked again, I saw that Bardock's hair was dark red, standing up high, and the dark red flames wrapped around Bardock. After transforming into this form, kicked Brawly away with a kick, and Brawly's body was plunged into a mountain by a deep fern and stopped moving. Immediately afterwards, Bardock looked at Roger indifferently. "Roger, I really didn't expect you to find such a powerful helper." Bardock chuckled, "But he is still tender. Have you seen my transformation? It's called Super Saiyan God." "Yes, it should have the strength of Super Saiyan Blue." Roger nodded slightly. Bardock's Super Saiyan God is not the same as the future Son Goku's transformation. Bardock's Super Saiyan God has dark red hair, which is set high and erect. Looks a bit like a Super Saiyan, but with dark red hair. Sun Wukong's Super Saiyan God's hair is big red, not upside down. "What is the Super Quanian Blue?" Bardock was stunned. "It's nothing, you don't need to care." Roger smiled. "Roger, do you know the bad god?" Bardock chuckled lightly. "Let me tell you the truth. During this period of time, I have been using my mind to fight against the god of destruction differentiation, and my strength has become the same as that of the god of destruction." "You, equivalent to god of destruction." Roger sighs. "Really blow." Roger found out that Bardock is better than himself. "No, I'm not bragging, I'm telling the truth." Bardock is bragging. "Let's beat Brawly first." Roger's scepter and potato field emerged. Bardock was slightly taken aback. Bardock has seen this scepter. It seems that this thing is amazing. Bardock immediately became vigilant. However, what surprised Bardock was that a picture was projected on the crystal ball at the top of the scepter. Bardock saw that there was a person in the picture, with a dark red flame all over his body, and his face could not be clearly seen. On the opposite side of that person, is a middle-aged man with a long tail and white hair, kneeling on the ground as a Faya. "What is this for?" Bardock's puzzled Brawly. "Look, your father." Roger greeted Brawly, who was about to lose consciousness. Brawly raised his Brawly eyes and glanced at his father. Is that father? Although Brawly has lost his mind, he still recognizes his father who has been with him for 30 years. Then, in the projection, the man with the red flame pointed his hand at his father. Brawly's pupils twitched slightly. Boom! A bright red flame bloomed. Then, Brawly was shocked to find that his father was directly destroyed by the person opposite the upper half of his body. His father's legs fell to the ground, and Brawly's boots were broken, but he felt a flame of anger flash across his mind, and the energy of the whole person seemed to be like a volcano, and it suddenly erupted. Boom God! Brawly's golden glow bloomed all over his body, and the golden flames covered the entire sky. Brawly's hair stood tall and his face was full of anger. Super Saiyan. Bardock was just wondering what the picture meant when he was suddenly confused by Brawly's powerful aura, and his face turned green at that time. What? He. Is he a Saiyan? Bardock was stunned, and Bardock was even more shocked. Bardock was horrified to find that Brawly was rushing towards him angrily and quickly. Bardock could clearly sense that the endless breath on Brawly's body was terrifying. Bardock hurriedly prepared for battle. However, how can Bardock resist Brawly's angry blow? I saw Brawly's fist, heavily bombarding Bardock's chest. Bardock spat out a mouthful of blood, his facial muscles twitched, and his face turned pale for a moment. The next moment, the two started to kill on this earth. Today's Brawly is just a little bit stronger than Bardock. However, as the legendary Super Saiyan, Brawly became stronger in the Vietnam War 10 minutes later. Bardock couldn't hold on anymore, and the breath on his body was not very stable. In the following period of time, Bardock was hanged and beaten by Brawly until Bardock recovered from the state of Super Saiyan God to normal, and Brawly did not let go of Ilo. The scepter in Gia's hand burst into flames and hit Brawly. Immediately, Brawly had lost his expression, and the ground changed rapidly. Brawly's eyes flowed, and he soon returned to his normal appearance. However, Brawly's transformation was still there, and his left hand was tight. He pinched Bardock's neck, blue veins burst out on his forehead, and his anger burned. "You killed my father, I can't spare you," Brawly said coldly to Bardock. "When did I kill your father?" It's just that Bardock is now being pinched by Brawly, and he can't speak at all. "What? Jow, Brawly, he didn't kill your father, you are wrong, you may have hallucinations." Luo. Jay said. "Hallucinations." Brawly was stunned. Roger waved his hand gently, and the figure of Paragus immediately appeared on the water ball above the scepter. "You see, he's still on planet Wampa, he's fighting monsters." Roger smiled and said. Brawly released Bardock easily. Bardock fell softly to the ground with a spoon. "Are you satisfied?" Roger stepped forward, tumbled a few times with Bardock's mash bag on his ankle, and asked with a smile if he had the ability to fight with me when I recovered. "I don't agree with Bardock. Why should I serve you? You are picking up a ready-made cheap. If it wasn't for Brawly, how could I be trampled by you? I have practiced for 1,000 years, how could I lose to you, Roger? It's just, this Brawly. So powerful. Who is this guy? You are a genius, remember in a second." Chapter 95 Beerus, you really don't make people worry. "Humph, you're fucked up, Roger, here comes the god of destruction." Although it is only a differentiation of the god of destruction, it is more than enough to destroy you. Bardock suddenly took a chance, smiled lightly, and looked proudly behind Roger, and Roger glanced behind him. I saw a phantom that looked a bit similar to Bai's, condensed and formed behind him, and he was right here with his face and speed. Roger could easily figure out that this phantom was the differentiation of Beerus's dream. What is a differentiation? Simply put, it can be understood as a special clone of Beerus. Roger took a look. Beerus's split body has about 30% of Beerus' strength. Roger, now Brawly doesn't have much energy, and even if he has the strength of the peak period, he is not a god of destruction. The opponent of the differentiation body. Bardock looked at Roger with a smile. "By the way, I have fought against the god of destruction variant several times. We can be said to be sympathetic and have a very good relationship. Who do you think he will help?" "Bardock, you said that you have been trampled by me like this, and you still have the heart to say this." Roger sighed and let go of that Super Saiyan god. Beerus differentiation spoke. Roger simply turned around and stopped paying attention to Beerus. "Boy, are you crazy, dare to ignore my god of destruction, Bizons." Beerus was so happy at the time, smiling at Roger. Roger didn't have any nonsense at all. His clothes were swaying -987, and the angelic costume appeared. At the same time, there was a light blue angel halo around Roger's head. Beerus' face froze, his pupils shrunk together, his smile froze. "Did you leave by yourself? Or shall I give you a ride?" Roger turned his head, with a strange smile on his face. Beerus was dumbfounded. "I suddenly remembered that I forgot to take a shower when I went out, goodbye." After Beerus said this, his figure also became illusory. Beerus' differentiation disappeared in a flash. "Bardock, you are so special. Do you forget to take a shower when you go out?" He ran away. Roger smiled, and the angel costume on his body was also restored to the ordinary costume on Earth. Such a change. He looked at Brawly for a while, and he was speechless for a long time, but Bardock didn't see it. One of his eyelids was tightly pressed to the ground, and he could only see the situation on the ground, but not Roger's body changes. "You see, your only recourse is to run." Roger smiled and said, Bardock not talking anymore. "Well, I'm not embarrassing you anymore." Roger let go of Bardock, and a flash of light from the scepter hit Bardock and moved his foot away. Bardock was stunned for a moment, his face was suddenly surprised and happy, and he immediately jumped up from the ground. "BFAA. My energy is back to its peak." Bardock felt his body, and his eyes were hot. Roger's scepter flashed again, hitting Brawly's body. Brawly was stunned for a moment and felt his body change. Bardock, give you a chance to beat me. Roger waved with a smile. Bardock clenched his head. Come on, burst out your energy with all your strength. Let's have a fight, what do you think? Roger asked with a smile. Okay, this is what you said, don't regret it. Bardock said. Crimson flames bloomed all over his body, his hair stood up high and turned into crimson. Then, Bardock left school. The one with endless energy bombarded directly at Roger's body. Roger stretched out a finger and easily resisted Bardock's attack. Bardock was dumbfounded and Brawly was dumbfounded. Now, should I attack? The corner of Roger's mouth raised a shallow arc. Crush. Roger flicked his finger lightly. When it was locked, an invisible huge energy surged wildly, and Bardock uttered a snort on the head of Bardock, who was bombarded on the spot, and flew out backwards, landing on the ground, leaving a deep trail on the ground. The ditches. After Bardock's body stabilized, Bardock's body was covered, and it had returned to normal. Bardock spat out a mouthful of blood, and the whole person was not very calm. Too strong. Why is Roger so powerful? Also, who is it? Continue, asked Roger with a smile. Bardock looked stunned, his face was pale, and he was speechless. To tell you the truth, I just used 1/10 of my strength just now. Roger sighed slightly. Bardock, Brawly. Brag, right. 1/10,000,000th of the strength. Who are you deceiving? Roger shook his head slightly. You see, to be honest, how come no one believes it? Bardock, you met me, if it were someone else. Tisk, just your attitude, I don't know how many times you've died. Roger said lightly. Bardock was extremely shocked and speechless. Bardock believed that if Roger wanted to kill himself, it would be easier than ever to block his full blow with just one finger. How else could he fight? I have practiced for 1,000 years. Who is this Roger? In fact, you don't need to be hungry. You have practiced for 1,000 years and you are still so weak. The main reason is that your opponent is too weak. Saiyans can only become stronger in front of strong opponents. Suijia said lightly, of course, if you want to surpass me, I'm afraid it won't work. Bardock. God of Destruction's differentiation, are they all so weak? Brawly on the side nodded vigorously, didn't you see that the cat was scared away? Roger just changed his clothes. Bardock, do you want to become stronger? Roger smiled. Bardock didn't nod, his eyes moved slightly, the meaning of which seemed to be tacitly agreeing that I want to become stronger. I'm going to hang you. Let's go, take you to a place. Roger smiled, and the scepter gently swept a transparent flying cube to encircle Bardock and set off. Roger pulled Brawly and drove the cube, turning it into a colorful flame, into the sky. You don't want to exile me again, do you? Bardock has a wish in his heart, his face will change color and you will be exiled. Do you really think that there is no need for money to go back to the past? Suji glanced at Bardock, think about it for yourself, I exiled you to the past, did you gain anything? Bardock stopped talking. It seems that in addition to being lonely, my harvest is still very large. It is a pity that I don't know how my 2 sons are now. The spaceship that Bardock got from planet Vegeta has been damaged. The technology level of the planet where he is now is relatively low, and he cannot leave for a while. Therefore, Bardock did not know what happened to his 2 sons. You deliberately exiled me just to nurture me. Bardock seems to have figured it out. Well, you're so smart, and finally figured it out. Roger nodded, with a slight smile on his face, who has nothing to train you. I exiled you just to punish you, okay. If you think like this, I have no choice. Roger didn't have to fool around. Where are we going? Asked Bardock. Roger didn't answer, speeding up. This planet. Beerus hit a spray, and bad energy continued to emerge in his hands, destroying several planets in an instant. Whis was shocked and swept over with a scepter, knocking Beerus out. Lord Beerus, what's the matter with you? There's nothing to destroy, Whis sighed, it's really worrying. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 96 Bardock. Finally see you, Kakarot. 10 minutes later. With Bardock and Brawly, Roger floated above the earth. A spaceship flew through the air and smashed into the earth, leaving a large crater in the ground. Is that a demi-human spaceship? Bardock's eyes moved slightly, and Roger smiled without saying a word. There are some things, let Bardock realize it slowly. The next moment, Bardock arrived at a familiar figure and walked out of the spaceship. This familiar face, familiar hairstyle, familiar everything everything Kakarot. Isn't this Kakarot? Bardock trembled slightly, and his eyes were a little wet. Finally found Kakarot. That's great. In the mini spaceship, Sang is sitting in the Monkey King, Namek and Frieza fought. Today, 1 year later, he finally returned from the alien planet. Beak, Sun Wukong, Helan, Tianjin Fan, and Leping have been waiting for a long time. At first, they were waiting to challenge Frieza. At least they can be cannon fodder. Of course, the dumplings didn't come. Now, they are waiting for Sun Wukong. They vaguely heard Frieza say that Sun Wukong will arrive in 3 hours. Now the situation is not very good. Bei Gun has turned into a Super Saiyan, and he is still on Earth. The Earth seems to be a little unstable. Everyone is waiting for Wukong at this time, and also wants to ask Wukong what's next plan to destroy Bei Gun. However, Bei Gun hasn't done any bad things right now, so it doesn't seem appropriate to kill him. But, if we really have to wait until Bei Gun does bad things, it seems that everything will be too late. Everyone is here. Sun Wukong, wearing the costume of the Adorat Star, glanced at the soldiers present, scratched his head and said, who was the one who defeated Frippian? Could it be Vegeta? Vic and others nodded together. Really Vegeta? Has he become a Super Saiyan too? Sun Wukong asked in surprise. You already know 7 Goku. Krillin asked back. Such a powerful breath can be sensed even though it is far away. Sun Wukong smiled. Vegeta is so straight, I thought I was the only Super Saiyan. What about people? Monkey King, what you should consider now is whether to destroy Baiyan Tower. His existence is a threat to the Earth. Vic sneered. No, Vegeta didn't do anything bad, did she? Sun Wukong shook his head. Let's wait until he does something bad. Don't worry, I will supervise him. I won't let him destroy the Earth. But then again, Wukong, how did you escape from Namek? They all think you're dead. Leping asked curiously. Ha ha ha, I originally thought that this time I would definitely die, but I just saw a mini spaceship. After going up, I clicked it randomly, and it started. Sun Wukong explained with a smile. Later, the cosmic flight fell to Adlat, and I got along well with the people on that planet, and they even gave me a new set of clothes. Then why not come back sooner? Krillin asked. Hee, I learned a new skill at Adlat. Sun Wukong mysteriously smiled. New skills. What is? Move between. Sun Wukong smiled proudly. Goku disappeared in a flash. Soon, Sun Wukong left and returned, with an extra pair of sunglasses on his face. He is still alive and has his own partner. I am very happy. Bardock smiled slightly and let go of his body. At the same time, Bardock's hatred for Roger for many years in his heart suddenly dissipated. Bardock has found his important son, and now that his son is safe and sound, he is relieved that Roger suddenly found that Bardock's strength has improved significantly, and he knows that his mood has changed to a certain extent. Now Bardock's strength has surpassed Brawly. If the two of them fight again, Brawly might be hanged and beaten, but I don't know how his current strength is. I remember when you took me to that weird planet where Kakarot and Frieza were on it. Did he beat Frieza? Bardock asked curiously. How can I hear the meaning in their words? It seems to be Frieza who was destroyed by Vegeta. Does it matter who defeated Frieza? Roger asked. Ha ha ha, it's Ming, it's not important anymore, it's not important anymore. G-Doc laughed and then asked. I sensed a strong aura over there, it should be Vegeta. So, what about Raditz? He's also on Earth asking for flowers. Raditz is dead, Roger said. What? What? Died? How can it be? Bardock's expression darkened and he was stunned. Simply put, Raditz came to Earth and asked Kakarot to help kill aliens. Kakarot was kind and unwilling, so the two started fighting. Well, in the end, both of them died. Roger said he went to aliens to kill Kakarot as a Saiyan. How could it be so bitter? 7 inches. Bardock frowned. Today's Kakarot, no, to be precise, he should be called Sun Wukong. This planet called Earth is the planet he will protect all his life, and his achievements in the future are limitless. Roger smiled slightly. Dragon Ball. I can go to Namek to collect 7 Dragon Balls, and then resurrect Raditz. Bardock didn't listen to it, and he suddenly thought about it. Silent for a moment. Bardock, do you want to go down and see him? Asked Roger. No, maybe my appearance will affect his peaceful life, so let's meet again in the future. Bardock laughed. So, let's go. Roger smiled. Roger, with Bardock and Brawly, landed at Bulma's home. Ming. Goku, how do you wear this weird outfit? After seeing Bardock, Bulma was confused. No, not Wukong. The eyes and the atmosphere were not quite right. Bulma, he is Bardock, the biological father of Goku. Roger smiled and gave a brief introduction, but don't tell Goku for the time being. Ah, Goku's biological father. Bulma was shocked, pulled Roger over and asked, isn't Wukong's father dead? Didn't the Saiyans just stab Goku and Bei Gungan? A few of them? I saved it. Replied Roger. Bulma rolled her eyes. However, what makes Bulma curious is how did Sun Wukong's biological father find Roger? Roger, he won't be like Wukong's brother, he will force Wukong away, right? Bulma asked in a low voice. And? You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 97. Bulma, kneel down and worship me. Will not. Roger laughed. Also, didn't Goku become a Super Saiyan now? The most powerful warrior in the universe, his father's level is average, right? Baiwen couldn't even beat Frieza back then. Bulma was relieved a lot, looked up at Luo. Fuck you, Roger, you have a wide range of friends. I feel that you are more mysterious than I thought. You are not really a god, are you? Bulma, you've finally come to your senses, come on your knees and worship me. Roger greeted you and bowed down to you. Bulma stared. It's not like I haven't seen the gods of the heavens, and I was kicked into the pit by Lan Chi back then, so shameless. Roger remembers what Bulma said. At the scene of the 22nd World No. 1 Martial Arts Conference that year. After the rebirth, there was a fierce battle between Piccolo and Sun Wukong. Piccolo, who was too hastily, burst out with powerful energy, and wanted to, make 47 inches to raise the surroundings to the ground, and by the way, destroy Monkey King at a critical moment. Tianjin. Fan opened a hole in the ground with a Qigong cannon, and asked everyone to go down to hide from the gods who were grinding and chirping on it. It's tiring to explain, so go get busy. Roger waved the 11th universe. Krut is talking to Sabe with the scepter. Bei, what do we need Roger and Myers' scepters for? Their 2 scepters haven't lasted as long as ours. Kurt was dissatisfied. Root, do you think Roger will change Roger's scepter for Weiss' scepter? Is Roger that stupid? Don't say it, Roger, it's you, will you change it? Let's win his scepter and Myers' scepter first. Saba smiled and said, you said, if it were you, would you use your own scepter or Weiss's scepter? How to say? Although Weiss's scepter has been cultivated for thousands of years, it is not his original scepter after all. So of course I will use my own scepter, and I will slowly cultivate it. Kluk pondered, but at some point, using Weiss' scepter can save a lot of time. So, if we win Roger's scepter, do you think he will use Weiss's scepter? Exchange rods with us? Bei asked with a smile. What if Roger doesn't change it? You can't play cards according to common sense. Roger is the kind of person who blows up at the beginning of the game. Krut shook his head and felt that he was not very safe. As far as I know, the reason why Weiss lost his scepter was also because John lost Myers' scepter at the beginning, and Weiss wanted to give it to his brother, and the younger sister regained her face and had no choice but to put on her scepter again. Shub's eyelids were full of confidence, and he smiled and replied, "If Roger loses his scepter and Myers' scepter, what do you think, will he have any face? Is he going to get his face back? At that time, he will definitely take Weiss as a scepter as a lucky head. It seems reasonable to say that. Kazent head, you're so smart." Krut couldn't help but be happy to have such a teammate. 3 days later. Vegeta came quickly. Bardock. Vegeta's eyes widened and she looked at Bardock beside Roger. "Hello, Your Royal Highness." Bardock smiled. "HMPH, I didn't expect you to be alive." Vegeta also smiled lightly, and after saying this, she suddenly thought of something, and turned her head slightly. You are not the guy who was banished to 1,000 years ago, right?" "Yes, it's me." Bardock nodded. Vegeta stopped talking. "This guy was originally a Saiyan. Now he has practiced for 1,000 years. I don't know how powerful he will be." "Roger, how did you find Bardock?" Vegeta took another look at Broly. "Who is this person? The breath feels strong. Where did it come from?" "Let me briefly say that 2 guys brought 3 people over later, and they fought one-on-one with you and said, I won't say more about making you perform well. If you win, it's yours. Benefit. Bardock, if you win, I will let Raditz resurrect Broly. If you are shy, I can take your father over, or send you back to planet Wampa, and by the way, give you to planet Wampa, create a Leshy, a paradise with mountains, water and delicious food." After the 2 heard the words, one was more excited than the other. Roger has spoken to their hearts. Then, Roger glanced at Vegeta and said nothing. "And me?" asked Vegeta through gritted teeth. "Forget it, it's too bad." Roger shook his head. Vegeta shivered with anger. "Are they strong?" Roger. Vegeta gritted his teeth and asked, "I can be a Super Saiyan, and I believe Bardock is too. Is there anyone in this universe who is stronger than a Super Phi?" "Bei Gun, I don't want to hit you." Roger smiled. "Roger, do you mean that the 2 of them are stronger than me?" Vegeta. Vegeta's shield hair gently picks. Roger became impatient, and an invisible pressure was released. "You're talking too much nonsense. You only heard a muffled sound." At that time, Bei Yanta felt his body sink and sank into the ground, and even his head sank deeply into it, leaving only a handful of his sharp points. Hair, like a black weed, blowing in the wind. Bardock Broly is brutal. If you don't agree, you'll be buried. Another 10 minutes passed. Shub and K_Tay turned into a colorful flame on the horizon, and brought 3 human warriors to the courtyard where Roger was located. Roger swiped lightly. 2 of these 3 human warriors are from the 11th universe. They are all familiar faces of Suji. It is Toppo and Tispo. As for the other person, it is from the 8th universe of Bei, a warrior named Zaku. This person looks similar to the race like Sabo. On the surface, the strength is generally 3.0. I don't know if it can be changed. Dead. Roger, are we fighting here? Sabe. Although this is a private courtyard. In the city of Fanghua, if one accidentally destroys the city, it is not enough trouble to destroy the city in the universe paid by other angels, and you have to use the realm of the real god to restore the realm of the real god to 199. This hurdle, Sabe and Clute rarely use the realm of true gods, so as not to be more hindered when breaking through. It doesn't matter, let's create an enchantment together, let them fight in the enchantment, and there will be no problem. Roger smiled and took out Weiss' scepter. After seeing the scepter of Weiss, Sabe and Krut both looked hot and envious. It is a scepter that has been in use for thousands of years. Just looking at it makes me feel good. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 98. Don't stop the 2 of you. The real god domain condensed on Roger's scepter, gathered into an invisible barrier, and hid it high in the sky. What are you 2 doing here? What does Roger mean when he turned his head to look at Chibi and Clute? Aren't we here to play? Why are you so forgetful? Sabe groaned in his heart, and there was a bad feeling that although I am the host of this competition, are you embarrassed to see me consuming the realm of true gods alone here? When it's time to make a move, hurry up, or when will you be able to complete the barrier? Do you want their battle to destroy the entire planet or even the galaxy? Roger scolded Uncle. Sabe and Clute stared so hard that their nostrils came out of anger. You are so shameless. You are using the power of Whis, and the scepter of Whis is in your hand. At least it can magnify the realm of the straight god by 50 times, right? To create this enchantment, for Roger, it only needs to consume 1 point of true god domain, and then magnify it by 50 times through Whis, scepter, which is enough for 15 of these human warriors to fight in it. What? However, Roger said this, Sabe and Clute had to bite the bullet, took out the scepter, and Shakurt released 0.05 points of the realm of the gods. Sabe is more shrewd, and only released 0.01 points of true god domain. Roger is the most stingy, but released 0.0001 points of true god domain. Roger's scepter has another bonus, reaching 0.005 points. Come on, did you two not eat? Roger shouted, at this rate, we won't be able to finish the enchantment crut in 2 days. Sabe. You're cheering. What do you say we do? Your real body field has broken through the threshold of 199, are you still afraid of consumption? We consume a lot, but it is not easy to break through. At this time, the human warfields on both sides are also looking at each other. You, only 2 people, isn't it 3 people? Tease breaks. Watch Bardock and Brawly ask. The third person hasn't come yet. It's not good to be late. Topo couldn't help laughing, too. Well, let's introduce ourselves first. My name is Topo, his name is Tispo, and he's Zaku. With that said, Topo stepped forward in a friendly manner and extended his hand to Robodak and Brawly. Bardock. Prophet. Bardock and Brawly both stared at the guy under Topo's feet and stomped on Vegeta's head. Seeing that Bardock and Brawly didn't mean to shake hands with him, they were still watching their feet, and Topo couldn't help but glance down. Topo also felt that the soles of his feet were a little soft, and the black grass was quite comfortable. The plants on this planet are really unique. Topper laughs. Roger looks at Brawly and then at Bardock. These two goods. So stupid. Is there no response at all? Roger hurriedly gave Brawly a voice transmission and taught him how to do it. Brawly was stunned for a while, and he reacted immediately. That white beard. What have you done? Just as Topo was laughing and talking, Brawly suddenly shouted, Brawly, don't be impatient, what's worth fighting for? They are guests from afar, you know. Roger turned to look at Brawly and said something to him. But Roger, he stepped on Vegeta. Brawly, discolored on his eyelids, stammered. Hearing Brawly's words, Roger's expression became less calm. Then, Roger immediately took back the realm of true gods. Don't stop you two, I'll see what he's doing first. Roger's sigh of relief when he tells Kate and Crut. Sabe is also a little bit dangerous. The two had no choice but to release the true god domain little by little. If the true god domain is removed at this time, it will inevitably have an impact on the enchantment, and it may not be possible to complete the creation of the enchantment. In that case, part of the true god domain will be lost. Roger lost a bit of true god domain, and he can still rise back, but Sabe and Clute have reached the critical moment of breakthrough, and it is best to break through to reduce the loss. What did you do? Roger aggressively walked in the direction of Topo. I didn't do anything. Topo lost his feet. Look at your feet, Brawly said, Roger nodding with satisfaction. Brawly, he's quite smart. This kind of thing works. Underfoot. Topo's more confused. Don't get your feet up yet. Brawly shouted angrily. Suji had a dark face, and his face turned gloomy when he turned right. Topo knew Roger. Isn't this the same god who buried himself in the ground last time? Topo knew that he was no match for him at all. Can't be offended. It's my student. He is absorbing the essence of heaven and earth in the earth for cultivation. You guys are making a pendant, hurry up and dig him out. Roger told Jordapo, Tispo and Zaku. K_T___. Who are you deceiving? You can really make up. Are you trying to find fault on purpose to save the realm of true gods? How cunning. Sabe and Ket want to cry. So shameless. Soon, Vegeta was dug out of the ground by the three of them. 880 inches go on, you are really wronged. Roger's face was full of guilt. Vegeta did not speak with a black face. Vegeta can hear clearly in the earth, and her heart is very open to Roger. You wait for me. One day, my Bei Gun will definitely hang you up. This inflation, I want to have a good calculation with you. As for now, I can't beat him. Just bear with it. Don't disobey him. I'm really sorry, I didn't know you were chasing you, you're cultivating below. Toppo quickly apologized. Vegeta even got darker. Are you an idiot? Your brain has grown to your arms. Do you believe this too? Hey, you two, haven't built the barrier yet. Roger said to Bei and Krut. Sabe. Krut. When did building the barrier become our business? Are you not the host? Cough cough, let's go together, it's faster to make false accusations this way. Sabe coughed and greeted me. Let's forget it, why don't you go to Beerus planet, that place is more sturdy, and you can save the need to build a barrier alone. Roger mused. Clute, what are you doing so early? We have already made the barrier in half, but you say that you are going to Beerus planet and angels are shameless, it is simply unreasonable. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 99 Target, Planet Beerus. Going to the planet of Bis, I thought about it, fighting on the Earth, after all, it is not suitable. What did Roger ponder? Beerus planet. That's the planet where the god of destruction lives. Bardock was shocked. Sabe and Clute were silent for a moment, their faces showed a struggle, and then the two quickly absorbed the released Zetian realm. At this time, can I take back a little bit? It's not like it's all lost. Shub, Krut, you are gods. Good or not, it's just a little bit of the real god's domain. As for taking it back, Roger sighed and waved his big hand lightly. Immediately, the enchantment disappeared on the spot and turned into nothingness. Sabe and Clute take a deep breath. This is so special, only 10% of it has been recycled. So poor. What made the two of them even more sad was still behind, and the two suddenly discovered that the three human warriors they brought over were actually looking at them with eyesight. Let's go. Roger's scepter bloomed, and a square appeared out of thin air. Go in, let's find a suitable place to play. Brawly and Bardock went in first. Bell Tower followed. Immediately afterwards, the three of them also entered the transparent square. Come in, do you want to go alone? Roger greeted and added, don't worry, this time I'm here to release the realm of true gods, and I won't use yours to fly. Sabe and Clute are so angry that their molars are itchy, and they are not flying in the realm of God, okay. Use the power of an angel. So shameless. The most shameless angel is you, Roger. Sabe and Clute hesitated for a while, but finally stepped into the box and set off. Roger took the cube and turned into a colorful flame 10 minutes later. Roger controlled the flying cube and landed on the planet Beerus. This is really destruction. Bardock looked around the ghost to know if it was true, maybe it was just a myth. Vegeta snorted and snorted, is the god of destruction very powerful? Brawly asked Bardock innocently and Vegeta simply ignored Brawly. So silly. Would you mind asking this question too? Wes, excuse me, we're using your venue for a game, Roger exclaimed curt. Seems like no one. Roger scratches his head. Has Weiss left? It seemed that he was deliberately going out to hide. Shibei laughed. Ha ha ha, Roger, you're giving Westu a headache, you really deserve it. Krut is also smiling, am I that scary? Roger sighed and Roger closed his eyes and felt a little bit. Sure enough, Whis is not on Beerus. Even Beerus was taken away by Whis. Roger didn't know what to say. I'm just bringing people to a race, so if you run away, that's all. As for taking the god of destruction with you, No one is better, you can be unrestrained, the entire planet of Beerus is a stage, so it is more fun to fight, rather than controlling the scope of the battle in the enchantment we built on Earth, right? Roger was right when he thought about both Clute and Sabe. To fight in the arena, you have to set the boundary, and now the entire Destruction God realm is the boundary, that is called fighting. However, although the buildings here are sturdy, will they blame us if the invincible Whis and Beerus come back? Crut asked worriedly. You're right, I'd better speak to Wes before he goes back to blame us. Roger took out Weiss' scepter and went to call Weiss' number. Crut and Sabe are tired. You used Whis' scepter to talk to Whis, are you provoking him? Minutes later. Not answer the phone, let me leave a message. Roger shook his head, and immediately left a message for Weiss. Weiss borrowed Beerus for use. I will have a game with Bay and Clute, and you can use the monitor yourself when you go back. That's it, I'm not talking nonsense anymore. This will do. 7 will be all right. Crut asked worriedly. No, I have a very good relationship with Weiss. Roger nodded and it's fine. Luo Bay smiled. Roger immediately sent a voice transmission to the 3 of Bardock. You dare to destroy the buildings here. After the game is over, I will hang you up and fight. Of course, if you lose the game, the consequences will be more serious. Roger first threatened to save the 3 of them. The 3 of them clearly knew Roger's strength, and they didn't dare to say a word. They quickly looked around and recorded the locations of the buildings on this planet. When the time came, try to avoid attacking buildings, so as not to cause damage to be hoisted. So, Crute, briefly talk about the rules of the game. Roger greeted the game by drawing lots. You are the red team, we are the blue team. The red team and the blue team have number cards 1, 2, and 3 respectively, and the numbers on the number cards are the same. There are 3 games in total, 3 equals and 2 wins. Crut simply gave the grouping plan for the game, and then said the rules of the game. The rules of the game are very simple. The competition venue is this planet. Out of bounds, surrender counts as a loss. No murder. Murderer as far as losing is concerned. It is also because the planet Beerus is not a planet, it belongs to an irregularly shaped planet. For those present, if they really go out of bounds, they will fall into the cosmic space, and maybe they will die. Of course, this possibility is almost impossible. Bai Xingxing has already had a lot of hard work. It is natural to say it clearly, so as to avoid unpredictable problems during the game. As for the rules of the game, Clute and Sabe had already negotiated with Roger in advance, and Roger did not object to the draw and the draw started soon. The blue team's appearance order is Zaku, Tiespo. Topo. The red team's playing order is Bardock, Brawly, Vegeta. Topo vs Vegeta. Vegeta, the unlucky boy, looks like he's going to lose. Che, didn't expect my opponent to be that guy. I was so disappointed. Vegeta snorted with a hint of disdain. You two, don't transform first, I'll let you transform and then transform. Roger to Bardock and Brawly biography. You are a genius, remember in a second. Chapter 100 Brawly beats Tease. Just deal with Zaku and Tispo. If you need to transform to fight both of them, it would be too embarrassing to transform or something, and Roger planned to keep it for later. Especially Brawly, in case the performance is too strong. Sabe and Clute dare not play, then who will give him something good? And me? Vegeta asked. It's not your turn to play. Actually, I didn't expect you to win. I brought you here just to give you some insight. Roger sighs. Vegeta. I am a Super Saiyan. How did I get what you said? On the other hand, Sabe and Clute are also discussing the odds of winning the game. Let Bardock win the first competition. Anyway, that guy is the ancient Super Saiyan god with powerful strength. Zaku, the weakest of the 3, is definitely not his opponent. Fortunately, it is not a group of Topo and Bardock. Crut didn't care about the first game. He gave his analysis with a smile. There is no suspense in the second game and the third game. We will win. The 2 men, one named Brawly and the other named Vegeta, looked alike. However, the man named Brawly is not to be trifled with. Shibe took a deep look at Brawly and was relieved. Tispo is very powerful, and Tispo 407 is as fast as a light fan. Is that man named Brawly his opponent? Root's face is full of self-confidence. In short, you all work hard. Shibei encourages. Topo and the other three nodded together. Game 1. Bardock or Zaku. Less than 10 seconds after the two played, Bardock won by an overwhelming advantage without transforming. Sabe and Clute knew this would be the outcome. Nothing to worry about. Second match, Brawly vs Tease break. Sabe and Clute's expressions became serious. The second game has to be won no matter what, and if this game is also lost, the third game will not be compared. Brawly, right, I have a speed comparable to the speed of light. Tispo grinned, and found too big. Brawly holding Tispo with an expressionless face. Game start, they said loudly. Crimson. Immediately, Tispo moved at an extremely fast speed, leaving behind a trail of phantoms near Brawly. Brawly looked left and right, his head twisted back and forth. This idiot. Vegeta rubbed his teeth. Go and sense each other's breath. What's the use of your eyes? He was watching Tispo's movements. Bardock interjected, you mean, he can understand the other's movements? Vegeta frowned because even Vegeta couldn't catch Tispo's figure. Vegeta could only sense it through his breath. Bardock didn't speak where the other party was. You couldn't see it. Are you too weak? Prince. The speed of test breaking has increased again. Topo laughed. Come on. Zaku lost the first game and felt a little guilty in his heart, so he had to cheer for Tispo. Don't worry, Tispo will win, and the opponent is nothing special. Topo laughed. Ha ha ha, Brawly, you can't even keep up with my speed, how can you beat me? Tispo let out a loud laugh. While smiling, Brawly moved. Brawly jumped up and put his big hand on the broken head of Tiz, who was traveling at a high speed. What? Tiz was taken aback. Brawly pressed Tiz's broken head and hit the ground heavily. The next moment, Brawly pressed Tispo's head and rubbed it on the ground of the planet Bishops. Immediately afterwards, Brawly punched Tispo's waist. Tiz snorted. Then, Brawly grabbed Tiz's broken ankle. Brawly grabbed Tiz's broken ankle and slammed it from side to side. Fortunately, Brawly's strength was better controlled, but it only caused cracks on the ground, but it didn't destroy the building. Brawly hit another hard blow, smashing Tiz to the point of blood spurting out of his mouth, and lying on the ground, his eyes turning pale and admitting defeat. Brawly asked quietly. What did you say? You made me Tiz break to admit defeat. Who do you think you are? Tispo jumped up from the ground, looking at his father Brawly in an annoyed manner. Rest assured, nothing will happen, Tispo hasn't used all his strength yet. Topo laughed and said to the worried Zaku, and patted him on the shoulder to let him relax. Brawly, you've completely irritated me, I'm going to use all my energy. Sipo let out a cold snort, and the energy madly emerged from his body. Immediately, there was a layer of lavender smoke rumbling around Tispo's body. Tiz's broken head hit Brawly's chest directly, and Brawly flew upside down at the time. Brawly's body penetrated Beerus Palace, and flew out from the other side of the palace. Tispo flew up quickly, and with a flicker of his figure, appeared right above Brawly. Next, he kicked Brawly's body. Brawly's body was like a cannonball, and he smashed heavily into Beerus Palace. Tess pointed his hand at Brawly's body, and the gas bullets in his hand kept shooting out cloth. Brawly got up, looked at the air bombs flying, and kept slapping both hands. Suddenly, these gas bombs were photographed in the sky by Brawly. At this moment, Tess flickered and appeared behind Brawly. Brawly, you've been fooled. Tispo laughed, and the flame in his hand burst into a huge flame, and he choked Brawly into it at that time. The powerful energy made the corner of Beerus Palace's acid collapse on the spot. Time, here is smoke and dust everywhere, flying sand and stone. I won. Tispo floated in the air and announced his victory with a smile. However, just as Tess broke his voice, a figure in the potato field rushed up from the ground. What? Tispo's whole person was not very calm. Brawly punched Tissi on the body. Then, Brawly learned another lesson. Tispo was hit by Brawly and kept hanging in the air. Every time he fell, he was hit to the sky by Brawly after a few minutes. Brawly kicked. Tispa was like a kite with a broken string, swaying and smashing into the wide ground in the distance, and he was already unconscious. This guy, I didn't expect to be quite powerful. Bagip felt like he had to re-examine this Brawly guy. You are a genius, remember in a second.